So good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Patty Diggin, and I'm the director of the Cottrell Entrepreneurship Center here at Westchester University, and I am also a SCORE volunteer. So on behalf of SCORE of Chester and Delaware counties and the Cottrell Center at Westchester University, I welcome you all here this morning for the 9th annual Westchester University Women's Entrepreneurship Conference. So before we get started, I just want to do a couple of housekeeping notes. You will see we have a packed program for this morning, so we won't be having any official breaks. If you need to take a break for whatever reason, please feel free to get up and do so at an appropriate point in time. You can go out there for the restrooms, and if you need to make a call, anything that you need to do. As mentioned earlier, there is hopefully coffee on the way, so you'll be able to refresh with that and some more waters and everything. On your tables, you'll see that there's two different QR codes, but the one that says program on it, that is where the slide deck is that I was running prior to the start of the conference. And in there, you will see the conference agenda for today, if you want to see what's coming up next. So that's in there in the QR code. Also, we do have materials over to the left of me from our presenting sponsor, Citadel, as well as from SCORE of Chester and Delaware counties, and the Fund for Women and Girls, which I'm going to talk about that a little bit in my introduction in a second. So without further ado, as they say, let's get on with the program. So thank you to our presenting sponsor, Citadel. Thank you also to our gold sponsor for this for the Women's Conference, Curate Retail Group. Also a special thank you to our partners, the Greater Westchester Chamber of Commerce, I2N, an initiative of the Chester County Economic Development Council, and the Women's Business Connection. So as I mentioned, here is our jam-packed agenda. We did change up our program a little bit. For those of you that have joined us at this conference before, we did listen to some of your feedback, and we wanted to provide more opportunity for networking this year, as well as an opportunity towards the latter part of the conference for more engagement for all of you in the program. So that'll be coming at the second half of the conference today. I also wanted to point out that the date of this conference is intentional. We are celebrating Women's Entrepreneurship Week. It is a program that is organized by Montclair State University, where it involves entrepreneurship centers at universities globally. And they keep tabs on what kind of programming are going on at the various universities to celebrate women's entrepreneurship. So we are part of that program, and I'm very proud to be part of that as well. Also, as I mentioned earlier, I am also on the board of directors at the Fund for Women and Girls. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with that very important nonprofit, but we work to support women and girls in our community. We are a grant-giving advocacy and education organization. And recently, we released the 2022 Blueprint Report, which is a report on the status of women and girls in Chester County. Of note to this group, it contains a great deal of information on the status of women-owned businesses, small businesses, and pay and wage statistics on women in Chester County. So on your tables, there is a card that has a QR code that goes directly to the Blueprint Report. And also there are hard copies of the Blueprint Report on the SCORE table over there. And the executive director, Kim, where's Kim, is here. If you have any questions, she'd be happy to answer them. So I just wanted to add that in because I think it is really important for all of us to take note of that when you have an opportunity. And the research for that report was done by Dr. Michelle Wade, who is a professor in our public management department here at Westchester. So all important stuff. So with that, I am ready to start the program. And I would like to invite up Ruth Ann Monteleone, who is from Citadel, and she's going to start with the opening remarks for this morning's conference. Thank you all very much. Do you want me to get rid of these? Okay. All right. Let me get out of the slides here for you. I have to turn that on. Okay.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Well, on behalf of Citadel Credit Union, we are so proud to be here today to meet the current and future business owners of Chester County. My name is Ruth Ann Monteleone. I'm a certified financial planner with the Wealth Management and Retirement Division at Citadel Credit Union. It's my pleasure to welcome you once again to the 9th Annual Women's Entrepreneurship Conference today. I'm also a proud alumna of this fine institution hosting us today, so let's give it up for the Westchester Golden Rams. Here we go. Citadel is thrilled to be involved in this event and to continue to support the Cottrell Entrepreneurship Center and SCORE of Chester and Delaware County. At Citadel, we often say that local businesses are the foundation that allow our towns and cities to thrive. Citadel is proud to work and support thousands of businesses across greater Philadelphia, and just this year we've expanded our offering to businesses in the area of many sizes through enhancements in our business banking services as well as our wealth management program. Our team's approach is unique and important. We believe in providing dedicated level of service and relationship management that is a true partnership to the businesses and business owners in our community. If the pandemic taught us anything, it's that you don't need to be treated like another number. Service and attention are necessary for the future growth and prosperity of our businesses. Service is something that's really important to me. I got my working papers when I was 14 and was in the service industry, paying my way through college, and then transferred that into my career in wealth management. I am the daughter of 2 self-employed parents. My mother simultaneously ran 2 businesses, but during that time she let her own financial planning sacrifice and took a sacrifice in that department for the strength of her business. I am now proud to help business owners achieve the retirement lifestyle that they've worked so hard for, and that is one of my main goals as a financial planner. Helping business owners and families create a plan to build financial security and wellness is why Citadel is here today. I encourage all of you to connect not only with Citadel's team, we have a lot of people around here today here to support you, but I also encourage you to work with one another. We should not see each other as competition, but rather as resources. Citadel believes firmly in building strength together, and after all, that's why we're all here. I now have the pleasure of introducing our conference moderator for today, Stacy Stauffer. For more than 20 years, Stacy has been captivating millions of viewers as a nationally recognized home shopping host, Philadelphia news anchor, and keynote speaker. Stacy currently runs her own media company, coaching businesses on the art of self-selling, while also dishing out her favorite recipes and kitchen finds on social media with her food and lifestyle brand, Savor It with Stacy.
Good morning. Everybody looks fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to extend a huge thank you to Patty for the honor of being invited to moderate and host this amazing event. It has been, well, I guess more than 20 years, 25 actually, as I give away my age, of working in corporate America. And I only just recently dipped my toe into the world of being a business owner and being an entrepreneur. And I did it right in the middle of a pandemic. And there'll be a moment in this program where I'll tell you a little bit about how that came to be. But I just wanted to say that being surrounded by women like you is incredibly inspiring to me. And I think it's so important that we are here together to lift each other up with our stories, because we all come from different backgrounds, we all have different reasons why we're creating businesses, why we want to blaze a path for ourselves and for our communities and for our families. And I think we can inspire and empower and support each other by being here and taking advantage of events like this one today. Because the paths we walk as entrepreneurs are not easy. It is very difficult to earn our seat at the table when it shouldn't be that difficult to be there. We deserve it. So I'd like to thank you for the courage that it takes to do what you do, to dream what you dream, and put in the hard work to make it happen. Because you are proof that women can forge the way of opportunity for the generations behind us, and that we can be these incredible forces of nature in the business world, doing it for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities. So thank you so much for being here and inspiring. I'd like to, though, begin our day with an amazing woman that I get the privilege to introduce, Yasmin Mustafa. Yasmin is CEO and co-founder of Roar for Good. That is a business that has been determined to cultivate safer workplaces and communities. Her list of accomplishments is quite extraordinary. She also founded a Philadelphia nonprofit teaching women coding and web development. She is a two-time TEDx speaker and has been recognized by many international and national media outlets. I'm sure you have read her resume is extraordinary. She is captivating, and I can't wait to hear what she has to say to us all today. Please give a very warm welcome to Yasmin.
Thank you so much. This isn't turning on. I'm going to switch over. Let's see. So funny story. My high school graduation, I actually tripped on coming up to a stage like this. So it was all I could think about while I was standing in the corner is don't trip. Don't trip, Yasmin. Can you hear me okay? All right, fantastic. All right. Really good to be here. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. This is my first in-person speaking engagement since COVID. And I can't tell you how excited I am for that because doing a lot of Zooms, I feed off the energy in the room. So it's really good to be here with you in person. So thank you for being here. My goal today is to share my story with the hopes that it inspires your drive to success and doing your best to fit in with the theme today. And so I will get started. I was born to Palestinian parents who moved to Kuwait, which is where I was born, along with 4 of my siblings. In the summer of 1990, my parents traveled to the US, where they had my baby brother. A few weeks after they came back, Saddam Hussein invaded the country for its oil, and the Gulf War began. I still remember sitting in a bomb shelter with my mom, my dad, all my siblings, when all of a sudden 2 men stormed in with a clipboard yelling my little brother's name. It turned out they had been sent by the US Embassy to extract all American citizens out of the country for their safety, and because my brother had just been born there, we got to come along. And so they told us we had 1 hour to pack 2 bags amongst all 8 of us, and they put us on a plane and brought us to Philadelphia. This was September 21st, 1990, and as you can imagine, my life turned completely upside down. Didn't speak that language, didn't have any family, didn't know anybody. But it was really the hardest for my father, who was a mechanical engineer, very well known for his profession, very successful, who, just like many immigrants, his degree didn't transfer and had a really hard time coping with what he could do with his life. We spent 9 months on welfare, living in South Philly on 15th and Jackson, if anybody's familiar with that area. And my father ended up meeting someone who presented him with an opportunity to get a loan and purchase this 7-Eleven store in Royersford, Pennsylvania. Anyone familiar with Royersford? Wow, okay, awesome. Yeah, very interesting to have this family business right across from the middle school and right across from the high school. Not easy. For many years, I was known as the 7-Eleven girl. Not Yasmin. I was the 7-Eleven girl. So this was our family business. This is where we worked for 10 years. And I still remember being 9 years old, standing on a milk crate and selling cigarettes to people that would walk in. Very odd looking back at that now. But anyway, 7 years later, so came here when I was 8. 7 years later, I'm 15. I'm a high school junior. I'm applying for college. And something happened. I learned I was undocumented. So even though the US Embassy had intentionally went to Kuwait to extract myself and my family out of the country for our safety, somehow something slipped through the cracks. And I wasn't documented. I didn't have the proper paperwork to apply for college, to get a driver's permit, a license. And not only that, but I had learned the clock had reset. So the previous 7 years I had been in the country didn't count. And so I remember this experience, having this out-of-body experience, because I already felt like an outsider. I was going to ESL classes during the day. It was a very white community. I still remember all the minorities would sit together at the same table, and I withdrew. And then at 18 years old, I had a very bittersweet moment where one day, all of a sudden, my dad got very tired of waiting for the immigration paperwork to come through, packed 2 bags, got in the car with my youngest 2 siblings, drove to the airport, and then stopped on the bank on the way and took all the family savings with him, leaving myself, my 3 siblings, and my mom to fend for ourselves. It gets better, I promise. This was bittersweet because he's not a nice person. So in one way, it was amazing he was gone. It was just a huge weight lifted off our shoulders. But on the other hand, we had to figure out how to survive, how to eat, how to keep the roof over our heads. And so we did the only thing we could do is we all took under the table jobs, making below minimum wage. I still remember I made $5 an hour for many, many years. I worked in restaurants. I worked at a dry cleaner. My mom worked at a deli making sandwiches at a gas station. We took whatever jobs we can get. And as you can imagine, they weren't always the safest. We didn't necessarily work in conditions that you would want to work in. And I still remember having bosses who felt emboldened by my status and said and did things that no one should ever say and do. And then 19 years old, 9/11 happened. 9/11 was an immensely traumatic day for all of us. What I'll never forget is I had 2 jobs at the time. I was really depressed because I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And I worked at the Turf Club in Oaks as a teller. I love being able to tell you all, and you know what I'm talking about. Usually no one knows what I'm talking about. The day after 9/11, I remember walking into the pre-shift meeting that we would always have with the employees and my manager. My manager turning around when he saw me and being like, "Yasmin, you don't know how to fly planes, do you?" Yeah. And the regulars that I thought I had become friends with, who just no longer came to my line, I didn't understand how, like, they knew me as a person, but yet all of a sudden I was this enemy. It was not a good period. But this is when things started to turn around. A few months after that, my mom saw how depressed I was. She knew how much I loved school. And one day, without even telling me, she dressed up in her best Sunday outfit, went down to the Montgomery County Community College in Blue Bell, and demanded to see the dean without an appointment. And of course, the secretary thinks she's a crazy woman, and she sits there in the waiting room for 2 hours, and she's finally let back to see her. And my mom tells this woman that she's never met, she tells her our whole life story, which is something we have never done before. And I can't stress this enough. We were so afraid to share our story, our status, in case someone got mad at us and went back and we were sent to a country we felt no affinity to. And my mom decided, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and do it for the sake of my daughter. And she said, please do whatever you can to let my daughter go to school. And the dean said, I'm sorry, there's really nothing I can do. And my mom looked right at her and said, find a way, because I'm not leaving here until you do. Call the police if you have to. And it still gives me chills to think about this, because I can't even imagine what that was like. And when my mom tells the story, she says that they got into a staring competition. She said it felt like it was 10 minutes, but it was probably no more than a minute. And then finally the dean said, okay, all right, she can go on 3 conditions. One is no one can know that this is a special case that I'm making. 2 is that she can only go half-time, which meant I can only take 6 credits instead of 12 credits this semester. And 3 is she has to pay out of state tuition. And so my mom came, told me the news. I was elated. I could finally effing go to school. And I know this sounds crazy to say how much I loved school. To me, growing up, it was an amazing escape from home, from the 7-Eleven, even being bullied. I didn't care. Like I had a thirst for knowledge I couldn't get enough of. And so this was an amazing opportunity for me. And so I seized it. And I took 6 credits a semester, every semester, including summer, for 4 years, working 2 jobs, making $5 an hour to put myself through school until I got my associate's degree. And oh. Oh, thank you. And then I was able to transfer to Temple University, where I met one of my mentors, Chris Pavlidis. So funny story I can tell you now, and I actually see a Temple professor here. I don't think you know this. I wasn't supposed to be at Temple. So I was still undocumented, and the admissions office, when I went to transfer my associate's degree, assumed I was because I had an associate's degree. And I just didn't say anything. And I just would hide I learned the route to avoid the admissions office. And anytime I would get a call, I'd be like, oh, my mom, oh, geez, I'm so sorry. You know, she's working 2 jobs. I'll tell her, don't worry, I'll get this taken care of. But technically, I won't get in trouble now, right? Technically, I wasn't supposed to be, there. But I met Chris Pavlidis, who was running the entrepreneurship program there, and I wanted to include him in this because, you know, we never make it on our own. Chris Pavlidis, I don't know why he took an interest in me, and he saw something in me, and I remember going into his office and sharing the latest idea that I have, and him listening very patiently, and as bad as it would be, he would tell me in a very encouraging way where I would walk out empowered. And there was one day, it was a few months before I graduated, I remember sitting in his office and him just looking at me and saying, Yasmin, I believe in you. And it's just something I'd never heard before. Ah, fuck. Shit. It really meant a lot to me. And it gave me this confidence I didn't know I had. And a very special person right here. My first internship, this opportunity actually led me into the technology sector. So as an entrepreneurship major, you have to take a class for credit. I had this internship I did not like. I actually tried to switch it with my teacher right there. And I couldn't switch it. You know, you got to follow through with your commitments. And I had a friend at the time, Ryan Meinzer, who kept telling me about this amazing internship he had in doing consulting in the tech industry. And he kept saying, Yasmin, you got to do it. You got to do it. There's an opportunity. There's an internship available. And when I couldn't get out of it, I made a decision that I'm so glad, looking back now, that I made, is I decided to do my 2 part-time jobs, paying my way through college, do this unpaid internship I didn't like, and this other unpaid internship on top of it. And it really led me into the tech industry and is a very big part of why I am here today. Basically, we worked with entrepreneurs who had nothing but a vision to build their team and be part of the dream, to make their dream into a reality. And so I finally graduated from college 7.5 years later, summa cum laude, very proud of this moment. I got my green card that last semester right before I graduated, which meant I got scholarships for the first time. So I ditched one of my jobs and I went to parties on Friday, Saturday nights. That was awesome. That was amazing. I wanted to have like a little piece of that college experience, so that was really cool. And then while at Team in a Dream, I started my first company. I was there for 3-4 years, worked my way up from intern to partner, learned a lot through that experience. And while I was running the blog there, I learned that you could make money while you were blogging And of course, as an immigrant that was poor for most of my life, I was like, what? But it was very complicated to do so. And so I left Team in a Dream. I did consulting on the side to help pay for this, to found this first company. But basically, we help bloggers make money from their content using affiliate marketing. So basically, anytime they wrote about something, the new iPad, MacBook, whatever it was, our software would run in the background, automatically turn it into an affiliate link. And if anybody clicked on it and bought something, we got a commission and we split it with that blogger. This paid my rent for like, I don't even tell you, my commissions paid for my rent for like 5 years. It was really amazing. One of my advisors, 2 years in, came to me and said, you know, I really want to white label what you're doing. I want to use it for my network. And I remember jokingly being like, well, buy us so that you can do that. Because I was a solo founder. It was just me. And it was not easy. You know, you have to do everything yourself. And I remember learning how to ask for help, which just sounds like such a simple thing to do. But as someone that was just used to doing everything myself, keeping my head down, it was a foreign concept. I also had this warped concept of, if I ask for help, well, now I owe you something, so I'm just not gonna ask. But being a solo founder teaches you to get out of that real quick. So anyway, he ended up purchasing the business. It was for a very small sum, but it was amazing. And I ended up working with them for about a year as part of the acquisition. And it was right around that time that 5 years had passed from my green card, and I could finally apply to become a citizen, which I did. And on April 19th, 2012, at 10:39 a.m., I was naturalized as a United States citizen. And I always call out the date and the time because I cannot even fathom to share what a significant milestone this was for me. I felt like a human being for the first time. I felt unshackled from my circumstances. I didn't have to do what I had to do to survive. For the first time, I could do what the fuck I wanted to do. I had a voice. I could break the rules and not be afraid of what could happen to me. I love breaking rules, by the way. This was a really, really magical day for me. So immediately, as soon as I got my citizenship, decided, I gotta leave. I registered to vote. I voted every single election, including primaries and mid-election. I come from a country where you don't choose your ruler, and you definitely don't speak up against them. And I always tell my American friends, oh my gosh, you're so lucky that you get to do this, but you don't do it. Like, freaking vote, people. And then I got my passport. I've actually now on my second passport that I just got. And immediately I decided to go to South America for 6 months using all the acquisition money that I got. And that is exactly what I did. I went solo backpacking. I started in Ecuador, where I did full Spanish immersion, staying with a Spanish family, learning Spanish for 5 hours a day for 3 weeks. Went over to Cali, Colombia, and learned how to salsa dance. Went over to Medellin and went paragliding, went horseback riding for the first time. Flew down to Argentina, where I got deported. Fun story, tell you later. Went over to Chile. Visited the salt flats, the mountains, amazing. Went back to Argentina, through Mendoza, wine country, went to Iguazu Falls, Buenos Aires. Oh, it was magical. Such an amazing, amazing experience. Went down to Bolivia, Peru. It was the best of times, but it was absolutely also the worst of times because I was all alone and I had to confront the things I didn't want to confront when I was so busy trying to survive. And the biggest two for me were, one is that I had become so withdrawn that I didn't let people in. And my greatest strengths that I'd built growing up to cope with my circumstances had become my weaknesses because I wasn't connecting with people and I was robbing myself of the joy of that. And every country that I visited, I could feel just this armor chipping away little by little. And the second is that I had to confront myself with, am I driven because of me and what I want? Or am I driven to prove all the people wrong who told me that I couldn't do what I'm doing? And my dad being number one. I realized that my dad, even though he physically left when I was 18, his voice was still in the back of my head. And that everything I did, my self-criticism, just it wasn't good enough. And so really amazing self-awareness this trip was able to provide for me. And the last few weeks, I was in Bolivia. I went mountain biking down Death Road. Ask me about that later. I had a magical experience where I learned that I control my thoughts, and really I need to refrain some of these thoughts that I have, and really found that what I wanted to do, whatever it was help people not have similar experiences that I had as a refugee, as someone that was undocumented, not feel the fear and the constant walking on eggshells that I had for a very long time. And so I didn't know what I was going to do, but the call came a week later. So I went traveling from May to November of 2013. A week after I came back, I was living on 13th and Locust at the Arts Condominium. A woman who lived in the same apartment building went out to her car when unfortunately she was grabbed from behind, beaten, and attacked. And this is where I had the idea for my current company. At the beginning, it was combining self-defense tools with wearable technology. So this is where Fitbits were all the rage. Everybody was talking about wearables, and thought to myself, well, you know, if you have mace or pepper spray, you have to like take it out of your pocket for it to be useful. Why not make it readily accessible? If you're being attacked, it's not like you can be like, whoa, stop, hold on. Okay, I'm ready. And so that was the impetus for the beginning of ROAR for the first 4 years. We designed, manufactured, built our own fashionable safety jewelry that we sold to women. And for every sale, we would take 10% of the proceeds and invest them in empathy education. So the goal was that the wearable would be a short-term solution, but the empathy education, teaching young boys about consent and healthy relationships, would be the long-term solution. 4 years into the business, had to make the really tough decision to pivot. What we learned is that our business model just wasn't working for two main reasons. First is that most of the people who purchased our technology bought it as a gift for somebody else. And second, half of the people who received it as a gift never opened it. And then number two is just learn that human nature, we don't think about prevention until something happens. And so pivoted from personal safety to workplace safety in 2018 to go from protecting people outdoors to protecting people in workplaces indoors. And so what our technology does now is it protects housekeepers, nurses, clinicians, massage therapists, anyone that is at risk due to their occupation with wearable panic button technology. As you can imagine, this is something that I would have loved when I was undocumented. And I truly believe in 5 years it'll be very common for us to protect frontline workers, fast food workers, retail workers, transportation drivers with panic button technology. Pivot was not easy. I just want to be real for a minute and talk about, you know, it's interesting when people say, you know, congrats on your success, and when you're living it day to day. I had to lay off 2/3 of my staff in one day, right before the holidays. I had to sunset our original product that tens of thousands of survivors were using to feel safe to run again, to be able to go out again. It was a very, very difficult time. And even now, I mean, when we first started in this workplace safety, we started in hospitality. And right when we were showing momentum, we had 40 hotels waiting for an installation. COVID happened. Gosh, just doesn't stop. But yeah, it's really great right now. We are in 30 states, 50 cities just passed. Our goal is to protect 1,000 vulnerable people by 2030, and to do so using this technology that we have built. So I want to end by just talking about some of the lessons that I've learned. COVID, as terrible as it is, was a great time for me, personally, because I went to therapy and I decided that I need to stop being my own worst enemy. I had this belief that I can't be successful unless I was really hard on myself. And I didn't think it was possible to be motivated and be good to myself. And so through therapy, I learned how to be kinder to myself, not to be my own worst enemy. This is something I'm still learning, by the way. It is a journey. I tell myself, whatever I do, instead of immediately going to what didn't go well, I did the best I could. I truly know that whatever it is that I'm doing, I did the best I could. I hope that's something that maybe you find useful. And then the reframing, it's amazing how much of who we are is just a matter of introspection and self-reflection, reframing my thoughts around all these experiences that have happened, the pivot and how hard I was on myself for it, the feeling like an outsider for so long and wanting to blend in, but not recognizing it's actually a good thing to see things differently. And that really all of these, what they have in common is that they're opportunity, they present opportunities for us to grow. And so it does effing suck when things happen that don't go according to plan. And I take the time to, do the whole woe is me. And then I tell myself, what can I learn from this? Because, that's all that we can do. I did my first TED Talk, a reporter called me resilient. And I just remember being like, whoa, really? Cool. I looked it up, and I'm the type of person that, when I do a deep dive, I dive in. And I came across a study of 6 researchers, actually out of Penn, who spent 40 years studying resiliency. And what they would do is they would go into poor areas, the community leaders, and say, who are the kids that are making it that shouldn't be? And they would go to those kids, interview them and their families, and they followed them every year for the next 30 years. And what they found is that, first of all, you can't be resilient without struggle. They go hand in hand. And 2 is that resilient people have 2 traits in common. One is that they're eternal optimists. So no matter how bad things get, they will pick themselves back up and keep on going. And number 2 is that people who are resilient believe they control their environment around them, not the other way around. They will not pray for things to be better. They will do things to make sure that they get better. And that the final thing is that if someone has a mentor, someone that believes in them, they're much more likely to become resilient. And so I read that. I thought of Chris Pavlidis. I was like, okay, this is me. And I share that with you to see if that resonates with you as well. Thank you. Questions? Questions? It was right 30 minutes. I'm very proud of myself. I didn't time myself. I was really worried. Yes. Yes. For some reason, I thought it was going to be more, but this is great.
Thanks. Okay, anyone have a question? Right here.
Hi, thank you very much. I grew up in the electronic security industry, so you have my mind spinning, and I'm just wondering, what is your competition like with existing security electronic providers that are selling the traditional panic button?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so traditional panic button solutions are like static buttons that are underneath a desk or on a wall. So you think about the banks, all the tellers have one underneath. If you think about hospitals, healthcare facilities, they might have one underneath a desk or on a wall to go to when there's trouble. What we've done is innovated on that and made it wearable. So the whole idea is that staff members can have it on them at any given time if something were to happen, so that, again, you're not running to where you need to go. You can get help directly through your own device with the press of the button. And the way we architected our system is specifically to be battery powered indoors, so not requiring outlets, with redundancy so that no matter what type of building construction, no matter how big it is, how reinforced it is, it works no matter what to get people to your specific location when you need it the most. And so our competition, there's a lot of competitors. Assa Abloy, AT&T is in this space. There's other startups like ours, React Mobile. Where we excel specifically is in the way that we manufactured it so that it's fully redundant without a single point of failure, which I can get into more geeky details with you later on our patent and all that stuff, but thanks for the question.
Next question. Here.
Good morning. You spoke of resiliency, which is so important, and having a mentor who believed in you. Did your siblings find the same success, and your mother, the ones that stayed here in the United States? How did that work out for the whole family?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so my youngest two siblings, we were able to get them back eventually. And 5 of 6 of us are entrepreneurs. We run our own businesses. My sister runs, plug for my sister, she runs a facial bar on 13th and South called Skin House Facial Bar. The only person that's not an entrepreneur is my brother who works for Comcast, which we all get free Wi-Fi and internet. It's great. I got HBO. I got everything through him. It's amazing. I hope he never quits. And my mom is a caregiver. So she takes care of people who are dying. My mom is, I don't know how she does what she does because she is so positive and she's always smiling and looking for on the brighter side of things, even with everything that she had to endure and battle. And she will, with her patients, work with them for a year or 2 years. And unfortunately, when they pass, she'll take a break and go find, a job at a bank or something to kind of take the time to be able to cope and then go back and do it again. I don't know why she does it again. But she recently met a man. She has a boyfriend. And he picks her up and opens the door for her and closes the door for her. She had her first glass of wine on their first date. They're going to Florida for Thanksgiving. And he's picking her up in a limo. I don't know what's going on, but it's amazing. Amazing. Yeah, thanks for the question.
Another question? Over there? Okay, we got you both. Pass it on over.
So if you could turn back the hands of time to your 21-year-old self, what 3 things would you do differently?
If I could go back in time, what 3 things would I do differently? I wish I would have been kinder to myself sooner. It's the first thing that comes to mind. I was so hard on myself. I'm still so hard on myself. And why? Why did I make my job harder than it had to be? I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. What else would I do differently? That's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't know, because I haven't thought too much about it because I didn't have the time to, and I just focused on what I had to do to keep on going. So it's a hard question. That's the only thing that comes to mind is being kinder to myself. Thank you.
Another question back here. Did you have a question too?
No, she hasn't.
Oh, okay, there's one back here though. Thanks. We have time, it's good.
Hi, Guy. This is one of my mentors. Speaking of mentors, Guy Fardone.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for sharing your story. I can relate in so many ways as my parents were immigrants as well, with the broken English and other things you talked about. But I love your advice, and I am in education. Have you thought about for teachers having that? So many subjects I think that would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I think, so right before, when we were pivoting, we were actually deciding between hospitality and education. Education because after every mass shooting, we would get a flood of sales. And then hospitality, because laws had started to pass, basically forcing hotels to protect their housekeepers. 58% of housekeepers, by the way, in hotels experience sexual harassment. 40% more likely to be injured due to the nature of their job, the twisting, bending, pulling, pushing. And they weren't being protected. They just assumed that they would clean 15 rooms a day, and they opened the door never knowing what's on the other side. And ultimately, we decided on hospitality because this legislation, to us, it was like, okay, there's a requirement here. Let's go where that is. But I still think about education, especially now. And I do believe that there is great opportunity to go call you. Okay, I got you. All right. There are laws being passed. So far, they've passed in New Jersey and Florida requiring schools to get panic buttons for teachers. And I do think that's going to continue to grow. I think what's a shame is that a lot of the legislation is more about reinforced doors and windows versus preventing what's happening in the first place. But yes, would love to get into education eventually. Right now, our focus is on hospitality, healthcare, specifically behavioral health, so drug addiction centers, psych wards, and massage therapists. Because believe it or not, it's not just the massage therapists that are being attacked, it's the female guests as well, who might be assaulted by a male masseuse.
Other questions? I think a few people had their hands up. Oh, we got questions. Right, we'll go this way now.
So thank you so much for telling your story about an undocumented. I have to say it resonated a lot with me, and proud to say that I'm now a naturalized citizen. So it was such a feeling that I can.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
My question is more on that line. We still have undocumented people around in many different states. What tools or coping skills that you could help someone that is in that situation to try to at least navigate and try to figure out a life. Definitely, the withdrawn, I understand that. You want to be hiding. You don't want to be, visible because you don't know if you're going to get deported, or you don't know if the person that you befriended or thought befriended is going to betray you.
Yeah.
So what coping skills, what kind of things could you help to land a mentor, or even just, figure something out in that kind of?
Yeah, it's a great question. I can only share what I wish I would have had, which is that I wish I would have met someone else that was undocumented to have that sense of relatedness and feel less alone. And that's what I would encourage someone to do now, is to find someone. The challenge is, how do you find someone without, what if they are not? And I have been referred to a few people that have learned that the teacher had learned they were undocumented, and they're trying to find someone else to have that relatedness. That's something I wish I would have had, because I felt like no one would understand me. And the first TED Talk, what I remember, it wasn't supposed to be about my story. It was supposed to be about Roar and my business. And they give you a coach when you're doing the TED Talk. And my coach, she was going through immigration and a challenge where she had to go back to Canada and come back for some reason. And she was really afraid that she wasn't going to be able to let back. And I remember telling her my story to make her feel better. And her being like, no, that's your TED Talk. And being like, bitch, no. Like at the time, 5 people maybe knew my story. And she wore me down. And what I didn't anticipate was getting off the stage and feeling 1,000 pounds lighter. Because it went from then 6 people knowing to 2,000 people. And I didn't realize just how much it had like carried the weight it was until it was all out. And then it's like, hey, I was undocumented, I'm not anymore. Yeah, I hope that's helpful.
We have time for a couple more questions. Yes, okay. Sorry.
Hi, I'm asking a different question. I'm looking at all the stress of being undocumented, but I'm going to the stress of founding businesses one after the other, wearing the hat, wearing 50 hats. How did you handle that stress of the perfection? So many, I think people would resonate with that, trying to start a business, knowing you're responsible for everything, wanting it to be right, looking for time to be kind to yourself, that's not even on the list. What recommendation would you have for those that are wearing 50 hats, trying to take care of everything, carrying the weight of knowing that it all falls on you, and to be nicer to oneself without having to go to South America?
Yeah. Yeah, good question. I tried to interweave the lessons learned that I had, like at 123 Linkit, at Roar, to help with that. I would say for me, at 123 Linkit, when I was a solo founder, I had to let things drop because there was no way I could do everything. So I had to let that perfectionism go. And lucky for me, I had the time management skills, working 2 jobs, going to school, that I was able to carry with me. But I learned I had to let things go. I learned I had to ask for help, which again was something that was a foreign concept to me because I had this, I don't know, for me it was a scale. If I asked you for help and you helped me, well now I gotta do something back and I don't wanna owe anyone any favors. So those 2 were great. And then I won't say it was South America that helped me being kinder to myself. I think it gave me the time to pause and self-reflect at why I was the person I was and what I really wanted. And honestly, it was really COVID that made me confront this finding that I wasn't finding as much joy within my work as I wanted to, as I once had, because I went from being a solo founder to all of a sudden I had 24 employees, and that's not a measure of success, people. That's like a family you got to feed now, right? That's a burden that you carry, and so. To me, it was necessary to adapt and learn how to let go of that perfectionism, ask for help, be kinder to myself so that I could do my work and give my best to my investors, my users, my employees. I hope that's helpful.
Okay, I have time for one more question. I know there's more than one, but who's got one? Right here?
So thank you for sharing your story. It's so inspiring. And I'm going to ask the question a little bit more directly, I think. You're speaking to a group of entrepreneurs. I won't use the word workaholics. What do you do for rest and play?
Great question. So I've definitely found that I have to give myself a self-assessment where I look at the things that deplete me and the things that energize me and continuously work on getting rid of the things that deplete me to be more intentional about finding those times for myself. COVID also helped me with that because I went from going to an event almost every night to having all this time for free and not necessarily having to interact with people that maybe I didn't like, but interacted with because that's what you had to do. So that was helpful. But for me, I find that because I'm behind the desk so much, I want to be outside. So biking, playing basketball, hammocking. I know that's not really a verb, but I got a hammock right when COVID started, and it is just the most magical thing, like swinging and then looking up at the trees and reading a book. That has helped. I actually met someone during COVID, my partner James, who's amazing. We're very much in line about having experiences versus things. And so we will do 3-4 day trips to get away. I've learned during COVID that I have to set an example to my employees. Like I can't continue to send emails at 6 o'clock at night or on the weekends, because if I want them to have work-life balance and I care for them, I need to lead by example. And then, taking time away. I remember going to one of my employees and be like, Peter, like, you haven't had a vacation, like, go. And he's like, what about you, Yasmin? And I was like, shit, you're right. So I go on more of these trips. And my first time going away, he ended up going away for 10 days as well. So I don't know if that's helpful, but hopefully that's what I've done for myself. I found that I like not sharing advice. I like sharing my own personal experiences so that you can extrapolate what you want out of it. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, I think this is, I know this is the time that we're going to get the panel discussion going. So as we get the chairs kind of situated for our panelists, I would like to just say to you, I want to see a raise of hands, actually, as we're taking time to set up. How many of you are business owners that you own and are running businesses right now? Wow, quite a lot of you. All right, and how many of you are thinking about it, are dreaming about it, but maybe frozen as to your next steps and are hoping to find your path? Okay, yeah. I'm kind of in between. I've recently, like I said, started my own business, but I am struggling with sometimes being frozen on how to take it to the next level. Should I take it to the next level? What could I do more? And so hopefully, again, with our panel discussion that we're setting up for now, we'll be able to guide you and empower you. I would like to now invite up the moderator for today's panel. Don't Go It Alone, this is what we're calling it, Don't Go It Alone, Resources and Recommendations. Jennifer Lopez, she is the Business Operations Manager at Citadel Bank. Jennifer?
Great. Thank you, Stacy. So I have a new last name, Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo. It's actually Jennifer Rodriguez. Thanks, Stacy. You know, when I first got here, I had all my notes and how I was going to do a little intro before we introduce the panelists here, and I got inspired. So I just wanted to share a couple of things. I wrote down some notes here, and what we all have in common in this room. Inspiration, empowerment. We are mentors and we are mentees. The sacrifices that we make, we engage, we're the life of the party. We're storytellers, we're determined, and we're real. And that we are all the complete powerhouse. So give yourselves a round of applause. So I'm very excited to be your MC for the panelist portion for this conference. Again, my name is Jennifer Rodriguez. I'm the Business Banking Operations Manager at Citadel. And our business banking team helps to build financially strong businesses in our community. And our entire business banking team is here, so make sure that you say hello. So as Patty had said earlier this morning, let's go on with the show and let's introduce our panelists. All right, great. Who wants to kick it off and do some introductions?
Well, I have the microphone, so I guess it's me. Hello, everyone. My name is Mercedes Diaz, and I am a SCORE mentor. You will hear a little bit more about SCORE and what SCORE is in a little bit, but very happy to have you all here. SCORE is co-hosting this event. Aside from being a SCORE mentor, I also work for the United Way of Southern Chester County as a finance director. Before that, switching careers, I had spent 32 years as a project manager with JP Morgan Chase.
Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with you this morning. My name is Kate Sheehan, and I'm the Senior Manager of Community Affairs for Curate Retail Group. Most of you might be more familiar with one of our brands, QVC. We also are parent company to HSN, Zulily, Ballard Design, Garnet Hill, Frontgate, and Grandin Road. So hopefully you've all started to receive your holiday catalogs for some of our brands. I know I get very excited. They all arrived in the mail yesterday. I'm very excited. But in my role at Curate Retail Group, I've been there for 11 years, and I oversee our corporate philanthropy, team member engagement, all of our cause marketing efforts, product donation for all of the brands. It's so wonderful to be here.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Nagar, rhymes with guitar, a little bit of a strange name for you. I am the owner and managing director at Synergy Home Care. Been in business for about 13 years. We help to coordinate care for the elderly and disabled and those who need a little bit of assistance to stay home safely in their home. I went from the corporate world into the entrepreneurial journey about 13 years ago, so I hope that I can help those who need a little bit of inspiration, who are looking to take a leap of faith into that new journey. So very happy to be here today.
It's me again. Hi, everybody. So you've heard from me. I'm Ruth Ann Monteleone. I'm a wealth advisor with Citadel Credit Union. I am not an entrepreneur, but I do kind of run my own business within Citadel. I've been there for 10 years, working as a financial advisor in the Chester Springs, Eagle, Phoenixville area, and I'm just really excited to be here today. Thank you.
Great. So we have about 45 minutes for a few questions that we're going to ask the panel, and then we're going to have about maybe 10, 15 minutes we're going to open up the floor for some Q&A. So our first question is for the entire panel. Many entrepreneurs try to do it all, and that's a big challenge. Based on your experience, please share 1 or 2 resources or recommendations with today's audience. Ruth Ann, you want to kick it off?
Sure. So I kind of alluded to this earlier this morning. Doing it all, especially as a female entrepreneur, we've got family, we've got business, we've got personal finance, and of course, as a financial advisor, I want to stress personal finance. I think it's something that often goes by the wayside when we have family and parents and our business or businesses that we're trying to run. So if I can give one piece of advice, it's just to keep a handle on your personal finance. You may have left the corporate world and said, okay, I was strong financially before I left, and that's what gave me the ability to make this leap today. And then 5 or 7 years go by while you're developing your new business, and then you've lost all that time. So just make sure you keep touch with your personal finance as a resource. Obviously, I'm here. My cards are right over there if you need them. And use each other and other people in the industry as your resources, for sure.
So I would say some advice for me is that being an entrepreneur can sometimes feel like a very lonely journey and a very stressful journey, okay? But a lot of times it comes with a passion and a drive for a vision that you have. One of my biggest resources that I could say is being here just today. I was in your shoes just a couple of years ago. I came, I can't remember what year it was, into my journey, and I was feeling a little bit burned out, to be honest with you, and I really needed that spark and inspiration. I actually met Patty Diggins. I don't know where you are in the room or if you're in the room today, but I met her that day, had a lot of inspiration from her, and actually connected with one of the speakers that day, and now I'm on their advisory board at the Freckled Strawberry. One of my biggest passions is to help other women to feel that sense of community, feel that sense of, okay, what is it? I may have 1 piece or 2 pieces or 3 pieces, but I may not have all the pieces and all the education, but that doesn't mean I'm not good enough. That doesn't mean I can't reach my goal and do the things that I want to do. So my biggest advice to all of you bright, wonderful ladies and men in the background is to find your resource, find your passion, and no matter what you do, you have the resources. It's just a matter of finding them. So I'm so glad you guys are here today. Use those resources, and if there is anything that I can do, you know you have me as a resource as well, okay?
Great.
So if I had to share 2 nuggets of information or advice for entrepreneurs, just for what I see on the other side. So I myself am not an entrepreneur, but I've worked very closely with many, many entrepreneurs. The first is, and I know we talk a lot about having mentors, and I'm sure most of us have wonderful mentors in our lives. Keep those mentors. When it comes to a business that you're starting or a product that you're developing, in addition to the mentors that are already in your life, find another mentor to add to that group who you are not as personally close to, someone that you can meet through, whether through SCORE or through other networks, that will develop trust with you, will become invested in your success, but is also going to give you honest feedback. What I have found is sometimes if you go to those that are closest to you, a parent, a friend, they're going to say, oh, you're doing a great job, keep it up, keep it up. They're not going to be the one that says, you know, that logo that you have is probably not appealing for people. So you need to find someone who you can trust, but who's going to give you that feedback? And the second piece of advice that I would share with you is, we all know that the world is constantly changing. Technology is evolving. I can't even keep up with what the latest social media trend is now. I mean, is TikTok still, I don't even know what like the next coolest thing is. But all that being said, there's a lot to learn as an entrepreneur. You're not going to learn it all overnight, but look for those areas where, whether it's a website, whether it's networking like this, where you can develop a working knowledge of whether it's finance, just so you can start to understand what basic definitions mean. Or if you are the face of your business or the face of your product and you are not comfortable public speaking, start to branch out. Start to, go to these networking opportunities. As you get further in your entrepreneurship career and you get connected, and again, another plug for SCORE, get connected to folks who can really help to hone in and develop those skills. On your journey to that, just seek out those little nuggets of information. What don't I know that I could Google, I could read an article on it, I could go on a website. Just start to build that working knowledge.
Thank you for the plugs, and I will get to SCORE. One of the things that I think is very important, and the other ladies have touched upon it, is really having a team around you. Mentors, but your team as a business owner should really consist of, you should have a trusted accountant, you should have a trusted attorney, you should have a trusted banker, and somebody that you actually meet with and that knows your face, not just that you have an account at a bank or a financial institution. Somebody that deals with insurance, an insurance broker. And then last are your mentors. And don't think that you just have one mentor. You can have multiple mentors. And this is where SCORE, shameless plugs here, this is where SCORE comes in. So SCORE is a national organization of volunteers, I'm a volunteer, of business executives. And we come to SCORE to volunteer to help entrepreneurs and small business owners with whatever they need. We won't do the work for you, but we will advise you. We will work with you. We will form a relationship with you and help you on your journey. And so if anybody needs a SCORE mentor, and you may need one at the beginning, and then you step away, and then you come back, SCORE is here. We have over 11,000 volunteers nationally. Within Chester and Delaware counties, we have about 60 mentors and other workshop presenters. So use SCORE as a resource. We're here to help all of you. And I think that there are some SCORE clients here, I see. Yep, that's great. And if you talk to them, hopefully they'll have positive things to say. But, and as a SCORE mentor, I learn a lot. And I'm continually learning. So if anybody here is interested in joining SCORE, we're looking for volunteers all the time. And if you have started your own business, you're a great person to volunteer with SCORE. But so remember to build your team around you and use your mentors. And the other piece of advice I would give is planning, business planning. I know it's not something people like to do, but it really is important, and it's not just something you do right at the beginning and you never return back to it. You heard Jasmine talk about how she had to pivot, and how business models, they work for a while, then they may not work. You do need to continually plan, and planning is important so you maximize the resources that you have.
Great, thank you so much, and those are all great answers and a lot of takeaways for using your resources, using the people around you. The next question, being in banking for, I don't know, maybe 15, 17 years now, this always comes up with business owners, keeping personal and business financials separate. We'll start with Ruth Ann. Why do you believe it is important for women to recognize the relationship between business and personal financials?
Yeah, I'm going to drive this point home all day long, so you'll get sick of me. But like I said, my mom ran 2 businesses very successfully, and I mean, she's 75 now, so I've been in the industry for 10 years, but I wasn't there to support her the whole time financially and work with her on her budget. And she went to retire. My dad was also self-employed and went to retire. And as business owners, a lot of our expenses may be covered by our business, right? Our cell phone, our car's a business deduction, right? There's a lot of expenses that aren't coming out of your personal pocket, which is a great thing and one of the great benefits of being a business owner. But then when you go to transition out of that business, those expenses then fall on you personally. And we all know as business owners, although we want to make money, we don't want to show the IRS that, right? So our Social Security is not going to be very high in retirement a lot of times, unless you're super successful. Bravo to you, right? So we need to figure out what our expenses are going to be. And this even goes back to the business planning, whether it's personal finances or business finances. Knowing what your costs are at all levels is really important, whether it be your business costs, your personal costs, and keeping that in line and updating that on a semi-annual or annual basis. Business planning is not something, like you said, that can be done once, right? It has to be updated. Even if there's not a shift in your business is going to be changing size, bigger or smaller, hopefully bigger. You're going to be bringing on new employees. There's going to be overhead costs. There's going to be insurance costs, right? There's going to be things that are changing. So make sure you're always keeping your finger on that pulse. And then once again, just knowing mentally that there are going to be some things that are going to fall back on you at some point, whether you're forced out of your business by choice or whether you're forced out of your business because you have to be. And preparedness is what I want to drive home today.
Nagar, do you have something to piggyback? It looks like you're reaching for that mic.
I was. So some piece of advice that I would definitely give you guys is, being that I started in the corporate world, your paycheck is going to be very, you can count on it, you can rely on it, it's coming, you can plan very easily. I'm going to take a certain amount of money out of my paycheck every single, pay period, and you get to a good regimen. At least I was the type of person that always did that. Then all of a sudden, here I was, I started my business, and what was the first thing that happened? All my planning went out the window. I stopped carving out that set amount of money. Everything was about my business. Do or die, I was going to make that business work, right? So here I was, probably I would say close to, 6 years in, and I hadn't contributed $1 to my retirement or myself in any capacity, okay? Because I was going to make that business work, okay? I didn't leave the corporate world for nothing, right? I had to have something to show for it. But along the way, what you're saying is so important, because that piece of your personal self and your business self, it's so important to think about both from the very beginning. And my recommendation to you guys is, even if I know it sounds so silly, even if it's that $5 in the beginning that you feel comfortable contributing to your retirement or to yourself, have a plan. Don't lose that foresight of your personal self and your business self, because you have to keep that in mind. It's funny, we're talking a lot about immigrant, parents, and I too come from an immigrant background, and my dad was an entrepreneur. And I'm going to tell you guys a story I usually don't share with people, but he busted his butt his whole life, and about, 2 or 3 years before retirement, he thought he had made bank. He was like, yes, worked my ass off, made all this money, I'm living the American dream. And the business that he was in actually ended up going bankrupt 1 year before he was about to retire, okay? And the fact of the matter is, life happens, things happen, but he had focused so much on, business, and not separating that personal and business component out. You can't ever lose sight of the fact that there's always multiple components of being an entrepreneur. And yes, your business is important. Yes, your passion is important, but you have to business plan. You have to have a contingency plan. And even if it means that $5 in the beginning, and then maybe year 2 as a part of your business plan, you make it 50, and then year 3, you go back to 100, and then eventually you scale back up to whatever your retirement goals are. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, you can't just put all your eggs in one basket and just think about it's just the business or just your personal. It's a holistic approach, all right? So that's one of my biggest pieces of advice.
Great, thank you so much. All right, Kate, we're going to go to you. Can you provide an overview of the Small Business Spotlight program at QVC and the mentor relationship between SCORE, Chester, and Delaware counties?
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, the family of brands that are under Curate Retail Group, we back in 2020, in the midst of COVID, we took a look at all of our businesses in our portfolio. And for those that are familiar with our two flagship brands, QVC and HSN, there are a number of entrepreneurs that are part of our vendor community. Our business, QVC, locally here, was founded by entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship and small businesses have always been extremely important to our larger business. I think everyone in the room knows the impact that COVID had on small businesses in general, especially those that did not have a presence online, that were the mom and pop shops down the street, that relied on the foot traffic. Suddenly their doors were closed. They had no business. And I know we've used the word pivot several times. That is in my list of words where I'm like, I feel like I used it so much in 2020, but I'm going to use it again today. They all had to pivot. And as a global retailer, we realized that we had a responsibility. For years and years and years, we're trying to get traffic to QVC and to HSN. And this was a moment in time for us to step up and to reach out to our customers and say, we want you to shop. Even if it's not with us, we want you to shop, because there is this enormous small business community. These are our neighbors. These are the anchors of our community who might have to close their doors and go out of business. And so in 2020, we launched the Small Business Spotlight. We did a search across the country and found some small businesses that we were able to put on our platform, put on our airways, and we did not have their product for sale on our website. We actually had their websites listed. So which was the first time we've ever done this, we sent traffic away from our website to their own websites. And some of them, as I said, they were not used to having an online presence. And so there were websites that were crashing because there was suddenly so many orders coming in. So there was a lot of hiccups initially. But anyway, the success of that program, we realized that we can't just put these folks on our airways and then wish them well. We need to be doing more with them. And so as a component to the Small Business Spotlight, we launched a mentorship program. And this is where myself and my team really stepped in, and we took those small business owners after they had their spotlight on our platforms, and we worked directly with them to develop project plans. We took a look at their business. Where are you successful? Where is there opportunity? Where are you struggling? What are areas, whether it's finance, whether it's legal, what are areas that you do not know that you need to know in order to continue to be successful? And we paired these small business owners with our own team members. So we found experts across our business, and our business is a number of industries under one roof. And so we found experts in all of our departments to pair with these small businesses, and they worked directly with them. Our first cohort was a 2-week high intensive. Our team members basically stepped away from their day job for 2 full weeks and worked exclusively with these small businesses to work on those specific challenges that they needed to overcome in order to be successful. And in 2020, in order to keep their lights on and their doors open. And we got through the success of that first cohort and realized this is not just a COVID response initiative. This is something that we, as a global retailer, we need to be doing this on an ongoing basis. And so we've continued that, and we've expanded it. And we, every other month, give or take, we have a small business spotlight, a group of wonderful entrepreneurs that we put on our airwaves at QVC and HSN. We've also highlighted them on Zulily. And we've continued the mentorship program. And in 2021, we were looking for, what is a way that we can take the success of this program, but really elevate it and bring in the experts. As I said, we have our internal experts in certain areas of the business, but in terms of mentorship, and even looking at our own mentors at QVC and HSN, they know their job. They are experts in their field, but this is for many of them the first time that they've had to mentor someone else and share their knowledge. So we look to our friends at SCORE for that added layer of both support for our mentors and support for the projects at whole. And now we are 2 years into our relationship. We've had a lot of learnings in terms of how these mentorships work best with the small business owners. We've also been able to, I know that the SCORE that here is, Chester and Delaware counties, but the wonderful folks at SCORE, Mercedes and Marie, I know you're here, because of work now being virtual for so many and technology being what it is, they've been able to support our small business owners across the country, which has been an added bonus. But I do want to pass to Mercedes to go into a little bit more detail on exactly what the SCORE relationship was.
Sure, and we so much welcomed working with Kate and the Curate team because it was a way to, again, get out to the community and broaden the exposure of SCORE and help a broader set of small business owners. So what we did is there were two main areas that we helped focus on. One was trying to help educate the Curate team members on what is mentoring. It's different than consulting. And mentoring, and in SCORE we have a process called SLATE, and it's suspend judgment, it's listen, it's ask questions and analyze and test and then evaluate. But you really have to go through that, and as many of you here, I'm sure you've experienced, you've come up with an idea and you've presented an idea to someone and they just like, that's crazy, just, don't bother. But it's really important to encourage, to listen, and really help analyze and what the business owner and the entrepreneur is trying to do. So we helped educate the Curate folks on what is mentoring and what a process should be. And then we also joined them in these teams. We became a team member. So we paired up some of our SCORE mentors with the Curate teams and the business owners, and we joined them in their sessions. And last year we did it, and we learned from that, as Kate mentioned. We learned how we have to change it up a little bit to make sure that it's much more successful. I think we took the time, or the original one was 2 weeks long, and then I think the next year it was like 3 or 4 months. We were like, okay, one was too short, one was too long, so maybe we can find that Goldilocks spot. And so it was shortened to 6 weeks, and it was very successful for most of the teams. And the business owners got a lot from it. I think the Curate team members also got a lot from it. And our SCORE members really enjoyed it. It was a little bit different working situation, but all of our SCORE mentors who worked with them said that they would gladly come and continue the process. So we met with the business owners on a weekly basis, and there was a set process by, okay, what are you focusing on? And each time it was a little bit different because each business owner's situation was different. And that's the beauty of mentoring, is you never know what's going to come up. And we also work in a way that, I'm a mentor, but I don't know everything. I'm not a marketing person. I'm not into social media too much. So if the business that we're working with and the team members that we were helping, they had expertise, or we would bring expertise in. One of them brought Maria Smith in. She's a pricing expert, so they brought her in to talk to the business owner about pricing. So we bring in those other resources that are available, and that's how we work together.
And I'll just add one thing to that. Speaking specifically on the having a mentor, seeking out a mentor in a formal way, such as our Small Business Spotlight program, the SCORE mentorship, make sure that you're ready for the experience. To Marie's point, our program has been extremely successful, and we've made a point to, from the onset, tell our teams we are going to be looking for the metrics. We want you to, an example is for our small business owners, stop doing your paid marketing during this mentorship so that we can really see what changes have been implemented and have you seen the results of that. So we really do take the outcome seriously. But as an entrepreneur and small business owner, to those in the room, make sure that you're ready for it, because Mercedes and I both know that we've had some experiences. And for me, and maybe I'm a little naive, but I'm sitting in a position of, somebody from QVC is calling you to be in a mentorship program. Why wouldn't you jump at that opportunity? And we have had some businesses through the years where they fizzled out in terms of the mentorship relationship. They were not responsive. They didn't do their homework. To Mercedes' point, it is helping the entrepreneurs and small business owners. It is not just handing over the work to do it. And there is that expectation of some folks where they don't need to be an active participant. And so I just urge you to make sure that you are ready. Make sure you're ready for feedback. Make sure you are ready to answer questions. Some of them might be difficult. Make sure that you are ready to do your homework, that you are ready to make yourself available. Your small business might not be your full-time job just yet. You might have, as I'm sure many do, you might have a full-time job on top of that, but you need to make sure you have time to put towards this, because there are folks like the mentors at SCORE who want to help you. And it will only be a success if you bring your A game to those meetings and to the full relationship. And at the end, you're going to have a wonderful, trusted advisor from SCORE. So that would be my bit of information based on experience.
Yeah, that's great information. Thank you, ladies. And I'm a huge QVC fan, so for those that you are, if you Q, do you? And easy pay is a wonderful thing. All right, we have another question. What one piece of advice would you give to an entrepreneur or someone who is thinking of becoming one? And we can start anywhere on the panel.
Sure.
Yeah?
I think as females, we really have this imposter syndrome, right? For some reason, it's been ingrained in all of us that we aren't good enough, that even though we have more knowledge than the people around us in our fields, that for some reason we're inferior. So I would just say trust yourself, right? You're not here because you're lazy. You're not here because you're not working hard, right? All of you being here on a Friday morning proves that you're good enough, proves that you want this. So trust yourselves, trust your instincts, be ready for opportunities when they arrive, like a mentorship, right? Be ready to move forward. Don't be afraid. That would be mine.
I would say develop your grit, okay? And this is probably one of the biggest pieces of advice I think I wish I would have heard more of. We all heard Yasmin's story earlier on, right? All those experiences led her to this day for a reason, right? Because if she was anybody else and she got into those challenges, they may have folded and walked away and they weren't going to be able to pivot, right? So I would say find ways to develop your grit, whether that means having, workout regimen that pushes yourself that you don't think you can accomplish, do it. Push yourself so that when you get to that point and you're about to quit, because let me tell you, if you're a true entrepreneur, you're going to get to that point where it's going to be so hard, you're going to be tested, and everything is going to tell you, all right, I'm ready to fold. Those are the people who are going to step up and be able to kind of go through the finish line, okay? So anything that you can do now to prepare yourself, because again, mentally you're going to get to that stage where you're going to be exhausted. You're going to feel like I made the biggest mistake of my life. And it's funny, you said earlier, all your family and friends are going to say, you're great. I had the opposite. Everyone's like, what the hell did you do? You left your corporate cushy job, and now you're doing this? Like, what the heck? So instead, I had to fight the demons of everyone around me saying, you should be going for that cushy job, okay? That's a little bit more streamlined. So build your grit is the biggest thing I can tell you. Surround yourself with difficult situations. Surround yourself with things you don't think you can do so that you can actually overcome them now, so that your instincts kick in when you're an entrepreneur and you're like, I know this feeling. I can do this, all right?
That's great advice. I touched upon this earlier, and I know other ladies in the panel have as well, but really be ready. So there are certainly skills that I think all of us, could identify as, I need a little bit more help in that area, but there's a whole artillery of skills that you already have in front of you. What is your elevator speech? And what is your brand, your personal brand? You're going to be asked these questions. Where do you see your business in 5 years? What are your goals? Have those at the ready, because you never know. There could be someone else in this room who you're meeting over at the coffee stand who's asking you those questions. Be ready. You have to have that memorized. Practice in front of a mirror. Whatever you have to do, have it ready because you never know. And I can say this firsthand working with small businesses, young entrepreneurs who are freaking out because they're like, I just got a phone call. And I'm not going to say the retailer because it's not QVC. I just got a phone call from this company. I never thought they were going to reach out to me. And they're freaking out. And I'm like, are you ready? Are you ready? You got to have that elevator speech. Have it all ready. So that would be my first piece of advice. My second one is, I don't know if anyone has noticed a lot of the trends. So I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of those trends are coming back in terms of fashion, which I'm yay on some, I'm like a little nay on others. But anyway, I use that example because find out what's going to set you apart from other entrepreneurs. And what might set you apart is digging back into, like, one of the key things is communication. Okay, everybody has a phone, everyone's texting, everyone's, on social media. Well, take it back a step. What's a way that I could get folks' attention that they don't see every day? I'm a huge fan of handwritten letters. So think about those things that we all used to do years and years ago that are not the newest, coolest thing, but I'm telling you, they're going to come back in style. And as somebody who's on the other side of things, I react very well to those folks that are thinking outside the box. And I don't know if anybody saw the example of that woman. It was all over, I think, LinkedIn. She put her resume on a cake. Did anyone see that? So she really wanted a job with Nike. I think it was Nike. She had a baker print her entire resume on a sheet cake. And she got, I think it was like an Uber Eats or Grubhub. She got a wonderful driver who realized what she was trying to do and was like, I'm going to get your cake to the person who needs to see it. And she did. I don't know how the story ends because I'm not sure if she actually got the job at Nike. But I share that because you got to think outside the box. How am I going to get noticed in this world where everything is social media? How am I going to get noticed?
I'm going to tag on that a little bit. One thing that we often counsel our mentees is you need to figure out what's going to differentiate yourself and your product or service and really focus on that. You all have a unique proposition. Why should I go to your shop versus somebody else's shop? And so you want to really make sure that you have something that distinguishes your business and makes people want to come. And it doesn't have to be, a big whole thing. Something that's maybe a niche market, like a good old-fashioned in-person bookstore, rather than reading from my Kindle, which I do. I don't buy books, hard copy books anymore. Sorry. But it's really, distinguish yourself. And don't be afraid to go back to some of the old-fashioned ways that may be coming back.
Great. I think we have some time. Patty, do we have some time for open Q&A for the floor? Woo-woo. All right, let's. Of course. Can you hear me? Can we hear you now? That's all right. I'm going to come around. I'm going to get some steps in. Ooh, yay. Our first question. Okay, sounds good. All right, sounds good. If you can, just introduce yourself and your business and your question, please.
Hi, my name is Cindy Eddy, and my business is the organizing team. I'm a professional organizer, but I've had to step back because I've had some health issues and surgeries, and now my question is, how do I reach out and let people know I'm back?
Well, I'm not a communications expert, but the communication is critical. And my advice is be real about it. Like, just say what you can do, what you can't do, and just say, I've missed you so much, customers, I am now back, please come back. And you have to communicate more than once. I think it's 7 times of communication is what the common knowledge is, but it's just the communication.
Yeah, and I would also add, look at the network that you have of, are there other businesses that you network with as part of your business? Lean on them. And it doesn't just go for your situation, I'd say even for everyone in the room. Look for other partners in the space that your businesses can complement each other, and you can broaden your network, 2, 3, 4, so many folds from that. But I would really encourage you to lean into that network that you have of businesses and have them help to promote that you are back.
Yeah, I would also say lean on your previous client base, okay? Because you've already proven yourself in a lot of ways, right? You're good at what you do and be confident in that. But don't be afraid to reach out to your old clients and say, hey, I'm back better than before. So that would be one key piece of advice.
This one's actually for you personally. I know someone who does this space, and some of her best clients are widows. Some of my best clients are also widows. These are women in transition. They're women who need help. They're women who have a house full of things that they need the emotional strength to get rid of and get organized. So you might want to look at estate planning attorneys as a place to start and rebuild your network.
Great. All right, all the way back here. I wore a wedge today, not my stiletto, for a specific reason.
Hi, good morning. My name is Joanne, and my company is Yogi Fitness Mat, and my brand is a grab-and-go yoga mat and workout accessories. And I do have one here if anyone's interested. But I would love to hear more about the Spotlight program. And can you tell us how we can apply to that?
Absolutely, and I love that you brought your product with you. See, you get an A+ for that. Because you never know who you're gonna meet in the room that might. See, I love it. You get a gold star for that. So in terms of the Small Business Spotlight program, we're gonna be putting call for applications is not live yet for next year. We are continuing to tweak the program. We're kind of reimagining how we can even take it a step further from its current state. So it will be publicized soon of how to apply for that. It is an online application. And once we have it active, we do a really broad media outreach for it. So you'll definitely be seeing it. I can even share it with Patty to send out to the attendees here. And SCORE obviously will share it as well. And then in addition to that, because you do have a product that's is that a prototype or are you in production?
This is the actual product.
Okay, so we do have I'll do a little plug for QVC and HSN. If you do have a product that you're interested in becoming a vendor with us, if you go to qvc.com or hsn.com, there actually is a link right there at the bottom for our product search, and you can submit that way. And then also throughout the year, we do have some programs that come up for just a general national search for the newest products and the newest vendors. And I encourage you, I don't have any of those dates yet for 2023, but there are a lot of things coming. So I will make sure that the folks here and SCORE are in the loop so they can share with everyone.
Awesome. You never know, Joanne, you can be today's special value. Oh, that over here. I love that, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Run the runway.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hi, my name is Rosalind Hayes. I started the Downtown Music Academy in Chester County and gone through and won some awards and things like that. Now I'm trying to start another business, the Downtown Women's Business Coaching, because I want to transfer my skills to other women. And I guess my main question and my main kind of hurdle to get past is, what are the differences in marketing? Are there differences in marketing different types of businesses? Because I'm trying to obviously budget between two, and in my experience with starting the first one, you start out with a lot of time and not a lot of money, and then you have a little bit more money and not as much time, and then eventually you get to a place where you can kind of outsource that. But now I'm in the new spot with a new business. I'm just trying to figure out how to get my footing with that now too.
So I'm not a marketing expert, but SCORE does have people that have a lot of experience with marketing. So happy to have you reach out to SCORE. Go to chesterdelcoscore.org, or score.org. We can help you work with a mentor, and they'll really help you focus on the right target market, and there's different channels for each of the target markets. There are, if you wanted to eventually work with somebody to help that you pay for some of that marketing, we have referrals that we can give you of good marketers in the area.
The other thing I would add too is get an intern. This goes for everyone. A lot of interns are free and they'll get credit for that. So if you do have a business and maybe this is, there is a marketing intern that you can bring on who need the experience and also need the credits for school, that is, the intern program is something that I know we really promote to our small businesses. I would say anywhere. I mean, I promote it to our small business owners of, I know there are many college interns, grad school interns that are looking for experience and course credit for it. So I would imagine, I don't want to speak for the university here, but I know, if you look at your local universities all around, I'm sure that you could find some contacts.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing about as far as the interns are concerned. I think it's a great resource to have interns. But I work for a company, we grant to businesses, and we pay the interns. And I feel with the cost of college today, and with a lot of kids are struggling through, that paying them at least $15 an hour is really important. So, not everybody, and I'm not, they are free, but there's a lot of kids out there that need the money. Rent is outrageous. I have 2 college students that one just graduated from Westchester University, and but the cost of living, as we all know, is a lot. So not every kid, to make it an equal playing ground, can afford to not be paid.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. And I will say we do pay our interns at QVC and HSN. They are paid. I don't want to. Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that.
Media and graphic design, so many people need that in the beginning, entrepreneurs, and they want it for free. And the kids, they work so hard and they have so much talent, and they need to get paid. So.
Where are you from?
We're with the I'm with the Uncommon Individual Foundation. We're a foundation based in Devon. So, and we help small businesses provide interns for them. Yes. Yeah, it's called the Uncommon Individual Foundation. Sorry, the Uncommon Individual Foundation. And there's a website, or UIF. And our founder was a self-made, and we believe in mentorship tremendously. So, and to your point, like you said, it has to be both ways. You have to have the mentee and the mentor working together, and sometimes those lines are even, you don't know who's mentoring and who's menteeing, but it's really important for the mentee to be doing the work that they need to do. So that was.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but SCORE mentoring is free. It's done all by volunteers, so it is completely free, and we're not interns, but we're free.
One more, I think Lisa and Brian also will get to you in this real quick. No, we're gonna go over here first. This will go in. That's okay. It's okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to do a quick shout out to SCORE. I worked with the company for 20 years and was making a decision to buy the company, and I worked with SCORE. They made it clear from day one they weren't doing the job for me. They were going to mentor me of how to do it, which built my confidence. It took 18 months to close the deal of the company I had already been with for over 20 years, but it was step by step. They held my hand on the contract. When it came time to actually close the deal, they gave me references from lawyers. I chose a lawyer who said he was setting aside a retainer fee because I came through SCORE. I had 2 mentors, both named John. I refer to them as my Johns, and there was they were amazing. They then turned me off, they introduced me to the Small Business Development Center, which we're lucky that we have center at Widener and also at Kutztown. The group at Widener has been helping me get certified for doing government contracting. I just signed my first contract 2 years ago that are still relevant. And I decided to be through the Small Business Development Center, got a marketing list through Kutztown, printed the labels, slapped them on, and my response rate went through the roof of people calling. And most people said, I never get mail. I never get mail. So go back to what used to work. It's interesting.
Kate, do you mind for 1 second? While Jen's going, I think, to the next or last question, I just want to make a comment. There was obviously a lot of buzz when we heard the word funding, right? So funding, financing, getting your backing, that's obviously something that is important to all of you as female entrepreneurs. So I really can't speak for Citadel's business banking department and what they offer, but I can say that they will be a great resource for you in that department. There's a lot of new services from point of sale services, lending services that we've already had. So make sure you talk to the team back there. Like I said, I'm not part of that department, but obviously funding's really important. So talk to them about what options you have as a small business owner, because I mean, I know when I was young and I had credit card debt and I was able to consolidate it to a 0% loan for 15 months, it changed my entire financial picture, right? So something as little as that, and that might not be what they're doing, but it could be on a larger scale, it could change the whole scope of your business. So just please reach out to that team.
All right, I think that wraps it up for the panel portion of our conference. Thank you so much, ladies.
All right. So I know I mentioned earlier that I'd spend a couple minutes talking about my story, but fortunately, you might be spared from that because our next guest is here, and I want to get her on stage because the wealth of information you are getting from the panel and all of our guests is just enormous. I'm sitting here in awe because everything, whether it's Mercedes or Jennifer, Yasmin, is resonating with me. I'm like, yes to that, yes to that. I can totally relate. And so if you want to know anything about how I started a business after being a newswoman and a home shopping host, I will be here and we can talk about it. But I do want to say 2 things before I do toss it over to our next guest is, number 1, whatever you do, what I've learned is, and I learned this more becoming an entrepreneur than I ever did working for NBC or QVC, is don't be afraid of failure. If you want work, if you want clients, if you want to collaborate with somebody, send out the emails, go on LinkedIn, put the cold call out. If they don't get back to you, don't take it personally. Send it twice, call 3 times if you must. Don't be embarrassed about it. And don't look at it as a reflection on you if they choose not to want to partner with you. You gotta put in the grind. It will pay off, trust me. And number 2 is don't let anybody determine your value. Don't let a company determine your value. Don't let a manager determine your value. Don't let a family member determine your value. Only you can do that. And as long as you trust that, you will be able to put in the work and you will see success, because that is the ultimate. You've got to believe in you. Nobody else. I mean, you'll have supporters, but at the end of the day, nobody else is going to do that for you. So please take that away from my experience. So Mercedes, I'd like you to introduce our next very esteemed guest. Just saw a commercial while watching Channel 6 this morning as I'm doing my makeup, and I thought, oh, cool, I'm going to see her in just a bit.
Thank you. So we are very, very fortunate to have a wonderful guest today who's going to come and talk to you all about it. And she has a very unique experience. She is a U.S. representative from the state of Pennsylvania, Mrs. Chrissy Houlihan, so she's going to be here coming up. She is also a member of the Small Business Committee for the House of Representatives. So she has a unique perspective, and she has had a small business herself. So without further ado, Chrissy.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this one on too, or just this one? Thanks.
Readers.
I have readers. Yeah. That looks good. Oh yeah, let's do that. Science, technology.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. All right, we can do that. Does that work? Cool. Thank you very much for the technical assist. I'm an engineer. You would not know that. Good morning, everyone. And for those who I haven't had the chance to meet yet, my name is Chrissy. Please call me Chrissy. I do represent this community down in Washington, D.C. It's the 6th Congressional District, so it's all of Chester County and the lower parts of Berks County. So right now we are standing really legitimately in the heart of the 6th Congressional District. I say we are in the heart here for a couple of reasons. Our county courthouse and our county seat is here. As you guys know, we have a lot of businesses here, and of course, West Chester University is here. And to all the organizers, especially Julie as well, if she's around still, thank you so much for welcoming me back and for creating a space for women entrepreneurs. One of the best parts of my job is to be able to work closely with this university. And being on campus brings back a lot of memories from my roots as a lot of things. I was, among other things, an educator. I used to also teach high school chemistry in North Philadelphia. And not too long ago, I was able to come to West Chester University and visit a chemistry class here. I was visiting with Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh, and we wanted to see firsthand a lot of the work that our talented students were doing here on campus, dedicated by their very inspiring and talented professors and faculty members as well. Though many people don't think of the sciences when we talk about entrepreneurship, I would encourage you to think that way. It's the same drive that we have as scientists and engineers as we do as entrepreneurs, a drive to explore, a drive to overcome new challenges, a drive that parallels the entrepreneurial spirit very, very strongly. I am certainly one example of that. As mentioned, I serve in Congress, but my background is really eclectic. I grew up in a military family. I moved around almost every single year before I graduated from high school. After serving in the Air Force myself, I had the opportunity with my husband to come down to this community, and I've lived here for about 25 years here in Chester County. We came down here to Chester County to be able to begin to grow a business with some college friends of ours. That's very, very small business that literally started out of the trunk of one of my college dorm mates' cars, ended up evolving into an international and global sportswear business called And One Basketball, which was headquartered right here in Pennsylvania, right here in Paoli, right here in Chester County. I also had the opportunity to grow and scale another important organization that is also now nationwide, a literacy nonprofit that focuses on early childhood literacy as well. So as an entrepreneur in both experiences, there were a lot of very common lessons to be learned. I recall the early days of both of those businesses clearly, and I'll focus a little bit on And One. We were a really, really small group. I think I was the 6th person to join the company, the first woman and the first person clearly who doesn't know a thing about basketball. But we were competing with corporations like Nike, Adidas, and Reebok. It was really, really hard, but it was incredibly energizing work. And it's been my experience that a lot of things that are hard are worth the challenge. We were inspired. We were inspired to frankly beat Nike. We are inspired to seek out creative solutions and to move our brand forward. We were inspired to continue to explore and overcome all of the challenges. We had a lot of setbacks, to be sure, and I'll tell you just a couple of them briefly, but they have allowed us to have the success that we have had now. And our success was certainly not linear. My first story that I'll tell you is as a young woman, young mother, having just moved to this community with my 2 children who were 3 and 1 and my husband. We had just purchased our very first home. And one of the very first experiences after joining And One was having to sign a personal guarantee for the copying machine that we were getting for the little nascent company that was And One. We were basically saying that we were willing to give up our house for a copying machine. That was one of my first experiences. Another experience that I remember, I was the chief operating officer of the company. So my job was operations, infrastructure, logistics, transportation, information systems. And at one point in time, we were struggling with our warehousing partner. You know, we made basketball apparel and footwear. We needed to move away from that warehousing partner because they weren't producing and providing good results for us. But we didn't have an alternative. And I was literally in the process of negotiating with UPS as another alternative when we got kicked out of the warehouse that we were in. So our trucks were literally driving around in circles outside of Louisville, Kentucky, waiting for the high sign from me that said we had finished negotiations. They didn't know, the UPS didn't know, that I had no other options. But you need to make sure that when you're innovating and when you're an entrepreneur that you recognize you gotta be thinking fast and thinking creatively to be able to survive. The last story that I'll tell you comes from a marketing perspective, and one was known as a really rough and tumble street ball company. And we had as one of our signature athletes, Stephon Marbury. We were introducing the very first and one shoe. It was going to be called the Starberry. And Stephon was supposed to wear it in his first opening game on opening night with the Timberwolves. We had a campaign, a marketing campaign that was ongoing that takes a phrase out of basketball called breaking ankles. When you're doing well and you're beating your opponent on the offense, you are breaking the other opponent's ankles. So if you can imagine an entire stadium full of x-rays of broken ankles and towels saying breaking ankles with Stephon Marbury, that was the marketing campaign. Stephon got out on the floor and broke his ankle. Yes, wouldn't you think that that would be the end of your company? It was not. You know, we were able to pick up, recover, even though Stephon promptly walked his shoes over to the trash can and dropped them in the trash can. And yet we were still able to grow and scale and become a multi-$100-million company in 110 different countries, even after that sort of setback, because we understood that it was a challenge worth overcoming. So if I can leave you with one parting piece of advice, it's this. All of our success will look different, and all of our success won't be linear. When you look backwards, it will make sense. When you look forward, it makes no sense. In today's constantly connected world, it's really easy to compare yourself and your business ideas to that of others. And I understand why that can happen. And I have been there as well. But what I have learned is that no two paths are the same. And what I've also learned is you constantly have to pivot. If whatever idea that you have isn't working, don't think that you need to drive it into the ground, pivot. And enjoy your path as you go along. Enjoy the ups and downs. It's a thrill ride. I promise you will be stronger for it. With that, I thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about my experience as an entrepreneur in our community and be happy to answer a few questions if you have any. Thank you. I have not seen it, which is so funny because, you know, I'm in a different position right now, right? And so many of the people who are in the Netflix documentary are my best friends, the godfather of my children, you know, college classmates that I went to school with. And so it was a remarkable journey. My understanding is that the Netflix special has a lot of accuracy, but also some kind of, as any Netflix thing or anything would have, some jumps in time that don't make sense, you know, that sort of thing. So for a lot of reasons, I chose not to watch because I thought that it was important to keep my memories, you know, the way that I remember the experience. It's a good question, though.
Do you have another question? Anyone else?
Students? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So many people's journeys and ideas and businesses that you start when you're young change over time. They always tell you, I've run a side hustle like on my own through college. People tell me, don't get attached to that idea, don't stick to it. Like it's going to change, your path's going to change. And you get faced with that too because most people when they start in college, they end up doing something completely else. It doesn't last, it doesn't make it. So I just want to know your experience of people telling you, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, in fact, the And One story, as I mentioned, I joined kind of early days, but the original idea was called the Basketball Marketing Company, and the original idea was actually a B2B idea. It was going to be at trade shows. The original founders, the two friends of mine, were going to basically have what amounted to a magazine for the trade, and they were walking their idea around the trade shows and kind of learned pretty quickly that it wasn't a good idea. And they also learned pretty quickly that there really wasn't any apparel or footwear out there in the basketball space that really spoke to the game that they knew. And so they changed. And they changed by first starting with one t-shirt. For those who know this brand or may remember this brand, it was Trash Talk t-shirts. And so they had one t-shirt with all kinds of trash slogans on it that really ought to have been maybe 20 t-shirts. But that one t-shirt made a huge splash, and very quickly they ended up being able to be put into Foot Locker early days with about $1 million worth of sales. Just found themselves in this place, and that's when they raised their hand and asked for help. Like, for me as an operator, my husband is a finance guy, to say, like, we didn't know what we were getting into. We don't know, we love the brand and we love the marketing and we love the game, but we need to make a business. And so that's kind of how they got us involved. But then we also pivoted, as you mentioned, we pivoted into media, right? Into kind of the first reality television show back before there wasn't really reality television. And we also pivoted, frankly, and failed into something called Hoops TV. Hoops TV was well before its time, too ahead of its time, I guess. It was trying to be a live streaming basketball web delivery. And the technology just wasn't there yet. It wasn't fast enough. People didn't have fast enough internet at the time. So we at that point in time, we're a bigger company. We had a couple hundred people in our company at that point in time. We broke off a portion of it to do this Hoops TV, and it was a disaster. And we licked our wounds and moved on. So I do think it's really, really important to think about kind of how you can innovate, how you can pivot. And you also need to know when you need to cut bait, because sometimes ideas just don't work and you need to move on.
Other questions in the audience? Anyone else? Right over there?
Yes, so what did you do after the broken ankle? Like, what was your comeback from that?
We just kept going. I think a little bit of what it was, and this is an interesting back part of the story, is that our customers wanted it to work. The Foot Lockers and the Champs and the sports authorities and all of our mom and pop stores, to be really honest, they felt like that they were really beholden to the Nikes, the Adidases, and the Reeboks, and they wanted to see an alternative. They wanted to see another brand succeed. And so they were willing to give us another try. Which was really, really nice. And part of that, this is another lesson to learn, is when you're in business with your entire supply chain. You're in business with all of your consumers and with all of your employees and your community and your environment. This is not just about your equity position or the C-suite or any of those other kinds of things. This is about the essence and soul of your brand, is your relationship with everybody. And so if you maintain a good relationship with all of the people up and down your supply chain and all of the people within your community that depend on the good jobs that you hopefully are providing, you get a few more breaks than I think you would get if you were cutthroat and draconian and kind of more like, what is it, the guy on Bart Simpson, the like evil guy. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm very, very proud to be here today. It means a lot to be asked and to be able to speak with you guys. I fundamentally consider myself to be an entrepreneur and sort of an accidental congressperson. So I'm really glad to be in this room with you guys. Thank you for having me.
We're going to do our fireside chat, which will be wonderful because I can't think of a more dynamic duo for this. Lisa Wright Bryant and Sheldon Bartlett Rumer are going to host your chat. They have a lot of energy, so you're going to need to match it. I'm just letting you know. But I think the coffee is now kicked in for all of us, and we're a little bit more awake. Lisa is the founder of LM Bryant Consulting, and Sheldon is the CEO and producer of This Is It Network. They're going to lead you through this chat. Again, thank you so much, ladies, and you can take over the stage.
Thank you, thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, can you hear us? Can you?
I typically don't need a mic.
Well, we're going to use a
They
mic
can hear me in
anyway.
New
I know,
Jersey.
but it's okay.
Can
We're
you-
going to use a mic.
As long as you can hear me. As long as you can hear me.
This is what we're going to do before we have our fireside chat. Can everyone please stand up? Come on, we're going to do a stretch because you've been sitting a while. Okay? So stretch, not only that, I know this is not on the program. Say hi to your neighbor real quick. Just say, hey, how you doing? My name is, I'm with. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to do that. How about that? Okay, talk. Now don't stand there and say, I don't know, I'm not talking, okay?
Did you feel it? Is it changing? We
Yes,
felt it.
it's
We felt
changing.
it. We felt it. We felt it. Something's happening. Something's happening.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a seat.
Does that feel good?
Yes. The other thing I wanted to do, I'm going to sit down on this one. The other thing I wanted to do, I am not being paid to do this. They didn't tell me to do this. But Citadel has like parting gifts, a door prize, if you will.
It's so cute.
And I know everyone passed by. They said, well, what is that? So one of the young ladies from the foundation and I said, you know what? Let's play with it. And ladies, guess what? Who knows what this is? It's a purse holder. You know you need it. So before you leave, get it, okay? Trust me, my purse is hanging on the table. So please, okay? So thank you, Citadel. Thank you. All right. Yes. So.
Hi, my darling.
Hello.
Hi, love.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yes, you already know who we are. You saw, I'm Lisa Wright Bryant, inspirational speaker. What else do I do? Author, president and CEO of Ellen Bryant Consulting. And what we do, we inspire people to live their best lives by helping them build their confidence and increase their self-esteem. And I am an adjunct professor at my alma mater, the best university ever, Westchester University. Yes! And I teach business and professional speech.
What's your other role, Lisa?
I am the 2022-2023 Entrepreneur in Residence with the Cottrell Center.
Yes.
So, yes. So I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so excited to have this fireside chat with my mentor, the Sheldon Bartlett-Romer.
Hi, guys. How is everybody doing? This is so much fun.
It is. So,
Loving it.
okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to get started. Now, this is a chat. All right? Yeah. So if I forget to turn to you, it's okay, because we're chatting. I'm letting you into our world. All right? So, Sheldon.
Yes, my friend.
Okay, yes.
I mean, Oprah's lawn.
Okay, yes.
That's where we are.
That's where we are. So please, so please tell everyone about Sheldon.
Yeah, I will.
Pre-entrepreneur Sheldon, before This Is It TV.
Before This Is It TV. Today is, I don't know if you're having a United Nations meeting here because of the amount of immigrants that are on the stage. But I am an immigrant, so I was born in Sierra Leone, West Africa. I don't know, Freetown. I was born there. I come from a family of academics. So if you're not familiar with the West African recommendations, life recommendations, I had very few options, at least that's what my father said. I should have been an attorney, a physician, an accountant, but unfortunately I talked to myself on Facebook all day long. So being able to figure out where to put myself was kind of interesting. So in addition to being an immigrant, I'm one of four. I grew up in southern New Jersey. I'm a former Division I athlete. I played field hockey and ran track for LaSalle University in Philadelphia. I am a serial entrepreneur in the right of understanding that I always wanted to be more. I felt it. I think I'm not alone as it relates to people who have that feeling, things that keep you up at night, right? That Post-it next to your bed or your phone. And so before I really had an opportunity, upon graduation, I had literally wanted to be in television and film, shocker, wanted to be in television and film. I wanted to be on MTV. Does anybody, not to age myself, but I wanted to be on MTV. I dreamed of hosting Spring Break. You guys know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? They know, right? Hosting Spring Break and being able to figure that out. And I had to take an elective at LaSalle, and they suggested I take a marketing class. I was like, this is how they make money. This is cute, right? And so the options as far as broadcasting were concerned were broadcasting dog pet shows in Milwaukee or, doing some really smaller things. But I had an opportunity to get into sales. And so it was cold calling. How many of you have ever cold called in your life, right? We used to call it smilin' and dialin', right? And being able to figure it out. And so I got the closest thing to working in media was working for a medical publication, and I was selling help wanted ads, right? So I told my father I was in medicine to make him feel a little bit better about my life choices. He quickly realized that that was not the case. That was not the case. And so it was the height of the dot-coms, and again, aging myself. I graduated in 1999 from LaSalle. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'm embracing all 45 years of my life, and I suggest you all do the same. In that way, so it was the heart of the dot-coms, and dot-coms that still exist to this day. PhillyTonight.com and UpcomingEvents.com, and I would go from the King of Prussia, Smilin' and Dialin' to the Center City locations, and I would help my guy friends who now started these entrepreneurial spaces in driving awareness about their websites, and I became what looked like an Old Navy sales associate at the beginning of a line, ushering people in, checking people in, such a powerful thing. At that point, I realized what it felt like to invite people to something and have them show up in droves, and I needed to feel that over and over and over again.
But I want to go back to something you mentioned, because I don't know if everyone understands that serial entrepreneur mindset. Because you hear, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, oh, I'm an entrepreneur, but the serial entrepreneur, can you break that down for everybody?
For sure. I'm a prisoner of my wants. I don't know if anybody feels the same way, right?
You know you have to break that down.
Right, no, absolutely. I'm a prisoner. So what that means for me is that I can conceptualize things. Not only am I a dreamer, I'm a doer, which that's a very hard thing and I think a requirement for any entrepreneur. It's one thing to have a thought and to have an idea. It's another thing to bring that idea to life. Again, going from nothing to a line full of people. And I knew that was the really charge for me, and that I wanted to do that. And in every situation, though all of the businesses that I've had are similar in the ability to tell stories and be able to communicate and drive bodies, as I say, but the being able to understand when something was done for me and then when I had to start something else. And that's what I meant, that it wasn't about necessarily saying that I was going to go back to working for somebody completely. This is a temporary piece on my way to where it is I need to be. So if I ever worked for somebody full time, I saw it as an investment into my dream as opposed to a distraction from it. So that is what I mean by being a serial entrepreneur.
But that's so important, because a lot of people feel, well, I have to work for somebody and I feel like a failure, especially as an entrepreneur. But you hit the nail on the head. You said that was an investment into my dream.
Right. Because I think a lot of people, if they have to take a step back, or if you have to go work for there's all of it, all the feelings, right? I failed, it didn't work, this doesn't make any sense, I shouldn't have done it in the first place, Dad was right, there's a lot of that. Right? A lot of those things were happening. But instead, for me, it was like, I'm going to utilize this paycheck. I'm going to utilize this time, this exhale, and I'm going to be able to do better the next time. So it was never, this is where my career will end. It was always, this is what I'm doing as a necessity to get to where I want to be.
So taking all of that, taking all of that from coming from Sierra Leone, to going to Drexel, being that athlete. I'm sorry. Did I give a shout out to Drexel?
No, but you should.
Now?
I'm an adjunct.
See, that's what it was. Yeah. So coming from LaSalle, taking all of that. Yeah. How did you end up with This Is It TV? How did you know this was it? This is it.
At This Is It. So I had started. One of the major stories that I tell is that I was. An opener for what is the Borgata Hotel Casino and Spa. Do you guys know Atlantic City? Little penny slots. I see you out here. They're penny slots, all these folks, right? So upon graduation, I had worked for the ad sales company. I had launched a magazine. Oh my gosh, and my father still has these. I launched a magazine. I was 22 years old. I knew nothing about publishing, aside from the fact that I was smiling and dialing for a publisher. And I wanted to do a pocket-sized guide to Philadelphia. It was amazing, right? Amazing idea, right? It was wonderful.
Yes.
It was a pocket-sized guide to Philadelphia. I published four actual books, we used to call them, 4 books. It was wonderful, but I lost everything. All the money that I had saved, all the smilin' and dialin' dollars, I had lost all of it. I wasn't prepared right? I wanted my, you know, my eyes were bigger than my stomach. I really wanted that corner office. I could see so clearly what I wanted in my life, but I was not prepared. I did not have enough relationships. I did not have enough contacts. I sure as heck did not have enough resources. So now I had published 4 books, and now I grew up in Galloway Township, New Jersey, on the way to the shore for most of you. And it was one of those situations where I had to surrender to it, and I had to go home. So I had to go home to that West African house and explain what I had done with all the money that I had saved. And I had to show this man my books. And he was like, I don't really understand, but I was in a state. So I had to figure out what I was going to do. And in that very short period of time, I still had muscle memory from being a Division I athlete, so that was good. So I decided to work at a gym. So I decided to work at a gym, and I would work at this gym, and I would, give out towels and make shakes, and it was just this mundane scenario. And my mother came into my room and said, they're building this building. Go check it out, they're building this building. And this is when they had first done the ribbon cutting as they do with the hard hats and all of the things, and it was the Atlantic City Press, and my mother came begrudgingly into my room and said, they're building this building, you should figure it out. At that same time, at the gym, you can tell if you're from New Jersey, you can tell if people are not from New Jersey, right? So those individuals from Las Vegas were moving in to help open this building. And so I, as I do, became friendly with all of those that were not familiar with my recent failures, right? I started working out and being able to figure out on the elliptical machine with an assistant to the CEO, right? And these are what I will talk about a little bit later, but these are the conversations that you need to have in your absence. So I started working out with Sherry. She was wonderful. And Sherry asked me, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm in between things. I'm between things, but I'm very, very interested in Borgata. And what I loved about that resume that was on a cake that was interesting, I had no money. And so I had to figure out a very creative way to apply for this job. I went to Michael's. You guys know what Michael's is? Okay, and just so you're clear, I am don't, not DIY, okay? But this is the highlight 20 years removed of what it is that I participated in. So I went to Michael's, and my creative friend, who is completely DIY before her time, and I decided to come up with 3 gift baskets. And so she had given me the first and last name of all 3 of the gentlemen that ran marketing, the CEO, and the executive vice president. And so at home, I created this, Sheldon will help your business grow. Don't hurt me, but that's what I did. And it was these plants and this big, gigantic gift baskets, and I could not pay to ship them because I did not make much money. So I had to personally drop them off as if I was the delivery person. I dropped off my resume and all of that information to the Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa's temporary offices on a Thursday. I was called in on a Tuesday for an interview for their public relations coordinator. I received the job the following Thursday.
Yes.
So that is a testament to this thing.
Yes, you have to take a risk. You have to take a risk, and I know we as entrepreneurs, we do that.
Yeah.
We're risk takers, and I want to give you a sidebar, some trivia for Lisa.
Okay.
I also started a magazine.
Did you? I knew
See,
it.
I didn't tell
I
you.
knew it.
Vision Magazine,
Oh, I love it.
just 2 publications, and that was it.
I love that.
Yes, see, friends.
See?
Me
Art
and
of
you
storytelling,
will
the art
never
of
part.
storytelling.
But I want to just highlight something before we go further.
Yeah.
The fact that you put yourself out there, you didn't allow yourself to give in to the failure
Right.
that so many of us will say, I failed, I can't do it. And you get stun slapped right where you are. So you took what you learned, like I said before, and you said, I'm gonna put myself out there, I'm gonna go to the Borgata, and I'm gonna do this thing.
Yeah.
So you took all of that to bring you to
where I am now. So I worked for the Borgata, which was absolutely wonderful, for 2.5 years. I got a little too big for my britches. Came back to Philadelphia. I can do this on my own. I can do this on my own. Came back to Philadelphia and started an agency. And so what we were doing was helping small business owners, primarily women, right? So I went from multi-million-dollar budgets to I was opening restaurants and Irish pubs, and I was traveling around and doing smaller things. I call it multi-million-dollar budgets to beer and chicken wing money, right? To be able to figure out what it is that I was looking to do. And then once I settled in, I started working for the cupcake lady. I started working for the jeweler. And what was happening is that, if you can't tell, I'm an extrovert. Really? Yes. And I know that I'm outnumbered by introverts in the entrepreneurial space. And what was the nerve-wracking piece of it is that I would book them for Fox Good Day or the Today Show in the publicity scenario, and she would not part her lips to say why somebody should buy her cookie versus someone else's cookie. She could not bring herself to tell the story. And I reverted to, and I was documenting things before documenting things on social was a thing. And I said, you know what, I have to help them. There's no way. And I reverted to my MTV goals and objectives. I pulled that camera from my desk, absolutely, and I said, we're gonna practice. That's right. We're gonna practice. It's just me. We're good. Right, no pressure. We're just gonna practice. And I remembered who I wanted to be. Yes. And they found their voice. And I simply said, this is it. This is what I'm doing for the rest of my life, and affording people the ability to find their voice in a comfortable space. And I think everyone deserves that. Because people, especially in the entrepreneurial scenario, the baker, the jewelry, have remortgaged their homes. Right. But they can't find the words to share what they have going on. And I think that is a tragedy. So that's how it began. And I started doing interviews for my colleagues. Other PR people would send their clients to me for me to media coach them. And then my clients would utilize what we had done as press. I have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old.
They are so cute.
Oh my gosh. I do make good people.
Oh, yes, you do.
I make good people.
They're cute now.
I make good people. So, and so what I decided after my son was born that I would do and execute This Is It TV every single day. So I interview 1 to 5 women per day.
Yes.
And elevate their voices. So,
yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful.
So with the remaining time we have,
Yes.
because again,
I know.
we could sit and talk all day
I know,
long.
and I get to talk a little bit more.
I know,
I'm excited.
So I want you to speak to everyone here. Yes. I'm not going to say just the women, because I saw.
Hi guys.
How you doing?
How are you? Thanks for coming.
I saw heads shaking when you were giving your testimony. So in our remaining time, speak to them. What type of encouragement would you give?
Oh, it's coming.
I know
it's coming.
I know. What kind of inspiration, what kind of encouragement would you give our audience today?
Yeah. I mean, I live in, and my mom will make a few cameos as it relates to the presentation I'm about to give. But one of the things that she used to do constantly as we were young is that she used to put quotes all over our house. I'm talking in the bathroom, on the mirror, Post-it note in my head when I woke up. It was everywhere. You'd open a drawer. There were all of these quotes, and as an ungrateful young person, I didn't understand. Like, what is this woman doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, Mom, nobody reads that, Mom, nobody reads them. Why are you putting, like, all the things, right? And I had come home from college, and I, again, as ungrateful as you often are at that age, and I said, what is the deal with these Post-its, right? Waiting for her at that particular moment to, either snap at me or what have you. And so I could literally see her in the frame of the door, and she said, I know you have always so much to say, but at one time in your life, you will not find the words. And my goal is to ensure that you can lean on the words of others. And I was like, Mommy, right? Like, you go from being ungrateful to being like, sorry, Mom, right? All of the things, right, started happening. And so I do that moving forward. If you follow us on social media, there's quotes and inspiration all of the time. And one of the ones, there's plenty of them, but one of the ones that really means a lot to me is that you haven't come this far to only come this far. Right? You haven't made all of these sacrifices.
Excuse me, you have to repeat that because I saw pens to paper. Say that again, please.
You haven't come this far to only come this far, right? And there's so much more to do. And, I think that we don't think about it. We think about it in the moment it is not working. In the moment it is not happening. But you don't even look back to realize how far you have come, right? And I think that there's something beautiful to taking that pause today, this morning, and just give yourself a little round of applause to how far you've come.
Well,
I can't. Yeah, I hope that helped.
That helped. Yes, because we're on a time, so I'm And plus, I want to have, the table conversation and then switch it back to you.
For sure.
Because I have a few students in the room. And so my students just know that some of what Sheldon Bartlett Rumor says, you will hear in about 3 weeks in class. So take notes.
Oh, I love it.
Okay?
I love it.
Take notes.
I love it.
But thank you so much.
Of course, my darling. Of course, my friend. Yeah. Oh, I'm on everything. I'm on everything. So you can find This Is It Network at thisisit.tv. I produce my digital talk show and the talk shows for 22 other remarkable women. We distribute them globally. So more information about the network can be found at thisisittv.com. And you can follow, fan, and like me everywhere at This Is It TV. I've said it a couple times. But yeah. Yeah, but I'll be back. I'll be back on stage to be sharing some energy with you guys in just a little bit.
She'll be back. All right, so thank you.
Thank you.
So, I think I need I actually have to do the fun part. Okay. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk to each other, as I mentioned to you earlier with the stretching, because I just believe when we're sitting next to each other, life is short. So we need to establish a community right where we are, and we never know who we're sitting next to, right? So we're going to do something. I wish we had music. I'm not going to sing it. Maybe I'll sing it a little bit. What we're going to do is something called We Have Something in Common. Now, some of you may know the song Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston. We've got something in common. You know the song. All right. So what I want you to do is to take about 5 minutes, and I want you to talk to the people, yes, at your table. Talk. And find out 5 things you have in common. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to hear, we're all at the conference. Yeah. We all have 2 eyes, 2 ears. Not the obvious, okay? 5 things that you have in common. Then select one person to write those things that you have in common. I'll tell you part 2 in 5 minutes. Okay, let me set my timer. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All righty, let's go. Okay, you want me to come back? Okay, I see you. I see you. Okay, I'm coming. I have my little heels. Not the stiletto. See, Sheldon? I got the little heels. All righty, here we go. Let the hair swing in the wind. Okay, here we go. Okay. Hi. Okay. Please tell us your name.
I'm Rebecca.
Rebecca, take the mic.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All right. So we had a lot of fun with this and came up with some really cool stuff. So everyone at our table is a volunteer at one place or another. Everyone here feels that they feel and express gratitude and have a grateful heart almost every day.
Oh.
Everyone here wears corrective lenses, hence now I can see you. We all have a history of, or currently do double touch.
Yes, yes. I'm coming to this table, okay?
And we all exercise one way or another. We love to eat out. Who doesn't, right?
I know that's right.
And travel.
Yes. So wait a minute, Rebecca.
Yes, ma'am.
Some people were like, well, what is double touch? Did you see that? Thank you. Wait a minute. What's your name?
I'm Christy.
Christy. Come, wait a minute, Christy. All right, here we go. Here we go. Catch this. Are you going to jump in first? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, jump in. And then I'm coming in. Yes! Okay, I got my exercise for today. Okay, I'm coming. She said, wait a minute, I'm reporting out? What's your name?
Hi, everyone. My name is
Amanda said I need the mic.
I actually work here at Westchester University.
So do I.
I work with Jen, the best supervisor in the world.
Oh.
And I'm delighted to tell you that all of us at my table are over the age of 40. We all love chocolate.
Yes.
We are all here to build a network with other women.
Yes.
We love walking, and every one of us has a college degree.
Yes. Give it up for the table. One, I need 2 more tables. Okay, here I come. Here I come. Excuse me, I'm coming through. Coming through. You know you got to stand. I'm doing you like my students. You know you have to stand. Okay, no, so you're going to turn around. Here you go. And what's your name?
My name is Kristen Costin.
Kristen.
And our table, all of us have navigated the scary waters of public speaking and persisted through it. We all love jewelry.
Yes.
I own a jewelry store out in Chester Springs.
All right, where is it? What's the address? What's the address?
110 Pottstown Pike.
Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
We all have siblings and the perspective that brings.
Yeah.
We have all traveled out of the country. Some of us not so recently. And we've all had and loved a dog.
Oh, yes. One more table. One more table. Okay, here we go. Now, come on. You got this. Now, what's your name? I'm going to stand right here with you.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Tell everyone your name.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wanda Flood.
You got this.
The 5 things we have in common. We love nature. We are nature lovers. And we all been to a state park or a national park. All are introverts. We are all introverts. We all been to New York City. All of us love chocolate, and all of us love animals.
You did well, Wanda. Thank you. And thank you so much. Thank you all for participating in We've Got Something in Common. So,
We're going to show our video now.
we have to show the video. Okay, here we go. At this time, I want you all to direct your attention to either screen. Here we go.
Women have come a long way in career selection and job opportunity, but the gap in wealth generation remains. The Freckled Strawberry is a nonprofit dedicated to empowering financial independence in women. Financial independence can mean different things to different people. At the Freckled Strawberry, we define financial independence as having the ability to make educated decisions about money matters, be informed. We help women by guiding them through our trademark methodology, Finally, a financial model designed by women for women. Are you an entrepreneur? Our proven methodology will provide instant lift in your business. Be a bastion. Are you a corporate professional? The methodology will foster proper financial planning so you can trailblaze. Are you a stay-at-home mom on a mission? Build your family's wealth. Be their champion. The Journal of Financial Counseling and Planning have determined 2 categories that influence the relationship a woman has with her money and her career. One is distal influence, like culture, community, and economic background. The other is proximal influence, things closer, such as values and beliefs that are steeped in family life. These 2 categories, along with a woman's innate behavior, are responsible for outcomes. If financial independence interests you, the Freckled Strawberry will guide you through the taboo and shift your beliefs. Go deep, be a champion. She can and she will.
Okay, I love that. Yes, she can and she will. So speaking of she can and she will, is bringing back Sheldon. I can bring back my Sheldon now. Okay, at this time we're going to bring back the dynamo Sheldon Barlett Rumor. Give her a hand. Here you go, my friends.
Hi, guys. I mean, we're not worried about the technical difficulties of my life. This is fine. All right, so Again, my name is Sheldon Barlett-Rumer. Thank you so much for your patience as it relates to this. I appreciate it. We're going to keep things moving. I will keep some things up and kind of play with the slideshow just so you have a better understanding. As we mentioned with my dear friend Lisa, thank you so much. I am the CEO and executive producer of This Is It Network. We connect remarkable women to inspiring stories, and we do that each and every day through our growing community, our engaging content, and the real connections in which we provide. I host my digital talk show, as well as the talk show for 22 other remarkable women all across the world. We have contributors from Nigeria and Toronto, Absecon, New Jersey, and Portland, and everywhere in between. It is really my hope is that we elevate the voices and encourage individuals to scream their dream. And for me, I only have 2 volumes. I have Silence and I have Sheldon. And Sheldon pretty much comes in around a scream, right? I physically don't know how to whisper. I lean over and keep screaming, right? My husband's like, you're not whispering. I'm like, I'm trying, right? I just keep the same exact tone, just change my body language. So what I'm going to teach you guys how to do today, and it's going to be part of a larger exercise, is understanding what is considered to be your unique equation. A lot of you are keeping your ambition a secret. A lot of you are keeping it a secret from those who need you in this moment. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. I teach personal branding at Temple University. I'm an adjunct there. I also teach social media strategy at Drexel. My father's very proud of those 2 things. Yes. That was worth a call home, for sure. My goal is for you to know more today than yesterday, and more people to know you today than yesterday. That's the goal. And when people talk about their marketing strategy or their personal branding strategy, that should solely be it. How many of you have been overwhelmed by marketing your business, right? Your only goal in this moment is to have more people know about you today than yesterday. That is something in which you can control. It is not you going viral, which we will talk about. It's not you breaking the internet, right? It's you having more people know about you today than yesterday. That alleviates a lot of stress. It alleviates the need to make everyone happy, right? But if you can move one step in front of the other into the right direction, you are moving further than you did the day before. So what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to, for you to think, oh, it's going to be easy. I want you to be able to think about your personal brand. So personal branding, by my definition, is what people say and think about you in your absence. What people say and think about you when you have left the room or the Zoom. What are they thinking about you? That is what changes all of our lives. It's not, right, what you think about yourself. It's what others think about you. And are you putting enough out into the world for them to think anything at all? So personal branding is what people say and think about you in your absence. The majority of the decisions in your life that will change your life happen without your consultation. They happen without you being part of it, without you putting in your opinion. So what? How is that going to work for you? Whether you get promoted, whether somebody buys your product or service, that decision is made without you being involved. So how can you ensure that what is going out into the world is consistent with the conversations in which you would like to have about you? And so what I want to do in this moment is give you some skills in order to be able to control that conversation. Every conversation? No. But the conversations in which we want to have. I need you to use your voice, both online and offline. Where I was having a conversation a little bit earlier about social media versus other scenarios. It is not one or the other. You are a whole person. So what we need to do is make sure that the stories that are told about you are consistent, whether you are in person or whether you are on #over40 on TikTok, right? You can find me there. That's where I am. It's my spot, right? I mean, love it. But personal branding is what people say and think about you in your absence. Here is a big piece of advice. I was born in 1977. This was a thing in the 80s and 90s. We're going to fake it till we make it. How many of you have ever heard that? Okay, we're done. Sheldon said no more. Sheldon said there is no such thing as faking it till you make it. Nod your head in agreement. Yes. Why? Because fakers are liars. and you are not a liar. One of the things in which I come to mind every time I think of something fake, because I can't keep plants alive, is that fake plants never grow roots, right? Fake plants don't have anything to hold on to, no story to tell, right? No remember when, I learned from this or that. So when you pretend to be something else, you are cheating yourself from the story of what built your business, right? The lessons that you have learned. So we are not going to fake it till we make it. We are going to come exactly as we are. I talk to my students about this in particular because they are fraudulent on LinkedIn. Okay? My loves? Right? You claim you are a director, but you have directed no one. Right? You claim you are a manager, but you have managed nothing. Right? In that space, thinking it's going to make you feel bolder, it's going to make you more attainable, but it just makes you a liar. Because guess what? I need an assistant. I need a coordinator. I need exactly who you are in this moment. And what you are doing is you are cheating yourself out of the roots in which you need to grow. Does that make sense? So many of us have started and worked with companies that just started on day one because they were more approachable, because they were kind, because they were launching, and you were excited. And then some of us lean into businesses that have been around for 20 years. We get to determine who we work with, but it always needs to be based on an honest story. Another analogy that I love is that a plastic bag will never be a Louis Vuitton, right? I don't care what direction the L's go in, I see you, right? And it's an effort that you are making, and I'm very proud of that effort. But the truth of the matter is, the plastic bag will never get better, will never be luxury, but you will grow. You will learn new skills. You will meet new people. How dare you cheat yourself by pretending to be something else? So next time somebody says, I'm just faking it till you make them say, Sheldon says, no, we're not doing that anymore. We need a game plan, and that's what we're going to talk about here. I know it's getting to that time of the day that we are beginning to get hangry, right? Right? You guys know what that means, right? That's beyond hungry. Right? That's when somebody's like, what would you like to eat? And you're hangry and you're like, your face, right? You're like, out of my face, right? Right? Don't ask me stupid questions. We were supposed to eat an hour ago. What do you want? No, this is not the time for that. I need food in my face, right? This is the plan that we need. What I want to avoid us from doing is being hangry as we build our personal brands. Being hangry as we build our marketing strategy. Why? What happens when we go to the store, the grocery store, hangry? Oh, you end up buying avocados and whipped cream, wondering why you don't have a meal. Right? That's exactly what happens. You end up buying everything on the ticket. I'll take everything. Right? Nothing makes sense because you're making irrational decisions on an empty stomach. What I'm asking you to do is to form a plan, create that shopping list. And when doing so, you get to make the meal. You get to enjoy the meal. And that's the brand that you get to share. Is everybody hanging in there with me? All right, so that's the plan. We are going to get to work, right? We're going to create a campaign. We're going to share our brand story. Again, we are not keeping our ambition a secret. We're going to ensure that more people know about us today than yesterday. We're going to connect directly with a community, not necessarily the whole world. I'm going to alleviate a lot of that stress. We're going to promote ourselves, both personally and professionally. We're going to ensure that we engage with industry and like-minded individuals. I need you to do a brand audit. Some of you do not do this, but I do way too often. I need you to Google yourself. I need you to Google yourself. We cannot manage what we do not know. When we leave this room or this Zoom, the first thing anybody's going to do is look you up. And if you do not know what people see when they look you up, you cannot manage your brand, right? Oh, it's so conceited. Tough. I need you to be able to manage your brand, right? I need you to be able to audit it. I need you to understand it both online and offline, socially and professionally. I need you to have clarity in the repetition of your message. How many of you have ever had a full-time job that required an orientation, right? We know what it is. It's the video with the awkward people, right? Johnny meets Sam. Sam meet Johnny. Working here is awesome, right? All the things, right? All of the things. You're like, when is this over? When is this over? You try to fast forward it. They don't let you. All the things, right? And we go through that orientation in hopes of knowing about the company more, right? Being part of the corporate culture, understanding it. You know what's funny? We don't give ourselves a personal branding orientation about ourselves. How many of you are the same person you were in high school? Oh! I'm just going to leave her here. I'm going to leave her here because I can't guarantee I'm not going to do that again. I can't. I cannot promise you that. I can't. How many of you have been in a situation that you are not the same as you were when you were in college? Are you a different person? Right? Maybe you should get to know this new person. We can't sell what we don't know. We can't share what we don't know. How many people have people in their lives that treat them as they were and not as they are? Right? You remembered me when I was a hostess. You know, I will gladly get you a glass of water, but I have moved on, right? And oftentimes you must remind them of who you are today. So what I'm asking you to do is orientate yourself about yourself. Remind yourself, because a lot of you have forgotten, who it is that you are, what it is that you have accomplished. And we're going to work on that today within our exercises. What it's called is, what I call it, is your unique equation. It's made up of who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it. We're going to start with who you are. And very seldom do we ask ourselves these questions. We're busy, right? I'm clicking away. I'm baking cookies. I don't have time to get to know myself. But what I'm saying is that we cannot manage what we don't know. We cannot sell who we don't know. So we need to get involved. This is the challenge. Write it down. Your life facts. A life fact is something that cannot be disputed. I'm a former Division I athlete, cannot be disputed. I had 2 children. I'm a mother, cannot be disputed. They both tried to kill me. All the things, right? All the things. I'm an immigrant. These are things that cannot be disputed. Your life facts begin and continue conversations. So many of us are like, let me talk about my business. There are so many people I do business with specifically because we are both working mothers. It's how we begin and continue a conversation. There's so many people that I continue a conversation with because I knew that we were both Division I athletes. They understand it. They have children that are athletes and they want to talk about where it is that I was from and my opportunities. We want to forget who we are when trying to promote what we want. And I'm telling you, you need to begin to understand it. So write down 3 life facts, right? Lisa did a great job in creating that similarity. That's what's going to begin and continue the conversation. Next, 3 strengths. 3 things in which you are good at. And I'm giving you permission to acknowledge your excellence. 3 things that you are good at. Public speaking is a thing, right? I love to produce, create something from nothing, right? And discount shopping. These are things that I'm good at, right? I need to own it. I need to own it and understand it. There are people that I work with that send me links to amazing sales, right? They're my people. They get me. They see me, right? Your 3 strengths. I want you to acknowledge, in addition to your 3 life facts and your 3 strengths, 1 weakness. Sheldon, weakness, right. For me, I know that there's a lot of accountants out here, my finance folks. I see you. Mine is the good old spreadsheet. Excel. Do you know what I mean? It's not good. It's not good for me, Eric. It's not good for me. Good old Excel is not good for me. 3 years ago, I was asked to do a presentation, and they needed my P&L, my profits and loss statement. Right. I was like, but in the boldness of entrepreneurship, I got this. I got it, right? I'm fine. And just FYI, because now we're all best friends, if Sheldon says that she's fine 3 times in a row, I am not fine. Okay? So if I'm like, I'm fine, I need you to call for help because I am not okay. And that's what I said. I am fine, I got this. I had 3 days to figure it out. And again, I come from a West African family, all academics. My father is a doctor of chemistry, retired professor of chemistry at Stockton University. My mother is a retired principal of an elementary school. My older sister has her doctorate in organizational management. My baby sister has her doctorate in engineering. My baby brother graduated from Cornell Law. Again, I talk to myself on Facebook. Okay? These are my people, right? They're confused as to how I make money. There's a lot of confusion, right? And so I'm dwelling, I'm procrastinating, I'm doing all of these things. The time is ticking, and I say, I'm going to call her, my baby sister. And whoever has siblings, you know what that's like. I'm going to ask my baby sister for help. I called and hung up 4 times. Again, Excel issue, 4 times. I called her and I said, hey, Ada, calling her out. Hey, Ada, can you help me with this Excel sheet? And she's like, really? And you know, that's not how she sounds, but in my head, that's how she sounded. And I said, no problem. I'm going to send it to you. I'd been working on it for 3 days. 20 minutes later, she sends it back. And again, this is not her voice, but this is how it sounded. Is this what you wanted? Right? And to me, I was burned up. And I wasn't mad at her for her excellence. I was mad at myself because I wasted mine. 3 days, I could have given 12 keynote speeches. 3 days, I could have created marketing campaigns, but instead, I tortured myself in someone else's excellence. She enjoyed it, thrived on it, wanted more, as annoying as that may be. But all the while, I didn't give her an opportunity to live in that, and I didn't give myself an opportunity to find what I was good at. If you have weaknesses, stop dwelling on them. My students do the same thing. I'll say, what are you studying? Well, I've changed my major 3 times. Did I ask you how many times you changed your major? I said, what are you studying today? This idea of self-deprecating, well, I just started my business. Did I ask you if you just started? Or did I ask you what you were selling? Right? Stop leaning into your weaknesses and focus on your strengths. Write these down. Next up, what do you want? Ooh, that's a big question, right? You got to sit with yourself, about yourself. What do you want? Again, I was a big dreamer, wanted to be on MTV, wanted to do all the big things. I call big dreams your tattoo goals. These are goals that are gigantic. These are goals that are permanent. These are goals that can only be surgically removed, right? These are gigantic goals. You close your eyes, you're tossing and turning, global domination and distribution of your product, 6 stores all selling cupcakes, right? What you dream about in the biggest goal ever, that's your tattoo goal. I am a big thinker. How many of you are big thinkers out there? Right. The interesting thing about being a thinker is that you need small things each and every day in order to get to that big thing. Typically, you are either a tattoo goal person or a sticker goal person. A sticker is something that has to adhere for a significant period of time. It cannot blow off with the wind, but is not permanent. Some of you are living that sticker life, right? And you haven't even envisioned the tattoo of things. You're caught up in, what do I got to do today? What do I got to do today? What do I got to do today? I challenge you to combine the both and be both. That's the challenge. You're going to hit a lot of analogies today. How many of you are visual learners? Right, you need to see it, so you're with me. Okay, fair. Think of it as your GPS, right? I put my GPS to get here today. I don't know how many of you do this, but I race my GPS. Is that a secret thing? Right? I was like, I got you. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. You're telling me 8:15, 8:12 on the dot, right? In that space. So what a lot of you are doing is you are making lefts and rights without putting a destination in your GPS. What a lot of you are doing is just getting in the car and winging it, right? And so even though you have a plan for today, I want to make sure that you have a long-term plan as to where it is you're going. How do you know you're making the right moves or moving in the right direction if you haven't put anything into your GPS? If you haven't thought of your tattoo goal, that long-term goal, how do you know if your sticker goals are making sense? I want you to give me 3 sticker goals, 3 things in which you need to do today, right? In order to get to your long goal, I want you to give me 1 tattoo goal. 1 thing that you want. You close your eyes, you envision, you see it. You see the ribbon cutting, my friends. You see some ungrateful employees, you telling them what to do. You see it. You see it, right? You see a Zoom with 17 faces on an international scale. You see it. But what do you have to do today in order to get there? Right? In order to get here, how many lefts or rights did I have to make? And in the GPS analogy, maybe sometimes you stay at the rest stop a little longer than you want. Sometimes we're on the way, let's pretend we're going from Philadelphia to LA. You have to stop to refuel the car. There is no other way to get there. And sometimes you swing by a rest stop and you get a Slim Jim and you keep it moving. Sometimes you're like, oh, I like the scenery, I'm going to stay here for a little bit longer. Right? It goes back to understanding where you want to be versus where it is that you are. And we keep it moving. So 3 sticker goals, 1 tattoo goal. Next, this is the hardest part. Why you deserve it. And for us women, this tends to be torture. Oftentimes, bragging is seen as a negative thing, yeah? Right? Oftentimes, I work with remarkable women who say to me, I don't want to brag, but, followed by, I have 20 years of experience. I don't want to brag, but I have my PhD. I don't want to brag, but this is my 3rd store that I'm opening. I don't want to brag, but I just hired my 100th employee. As if a soft sell will help. It's not helping. And let me tell you something really clear. It's not a negative thing when you're just sharing. When you're just telling somebody who it is that you are, what it is that you want, and why you deserve it, it's not bragging, it's not being boastful, it's just telling the truth. Because we all know lesser people with their whole chest scream at the rooftops about their mediocrity, right? I am average, right? Hire me, right? Meanwhile, you are all in a space where you're like, well, if they really want it, they'll ask me, right? If they really want more information, they'll just call. No, they won't. They won't call. Captain Average is available. Captain Average is saying, please hire me. Captain Average is letting them know what they are capable of, and in this moment of their own desperation, they say, I'll go with average. I can't seem to find anyone good. Meanwhile, in your excellence, you stand. In your ambition, it's a secret. Are you still hanging in there with me? What I want you to do, and again, here's the space. You're like, Sheldon, this is all really cute, but I'm an introvert, so what am I supposed to do? Yeah? So what I need you to do is I need you to focus on your highlight reel. I was a former Division I athlete, as I mentioned, and I'm also 45. So we had things on what they call VHS for the young people, if you're ever familiar. It was VHS tapes of my highlights, right? That I put in a yellow envelope and I mailed out with what they call postage, if you guys are concerned. So all of those things. So I created a highlight reel. I paid somebody to edit something of me, a video of me scoring, running, cheering, assisting, all of those things. What I need for you to think of yourself as is a celebrity that has a Wikipedia page. I need you to think about what would be on that page. What are the braggable notions of your life? Refer to your resume if necessary. What is worthy of attention? What would you use within your highlight reel to get that scholarship, to get that job? And I need you to hold it. I need 3 highlights of your career. Things in which you have done. Again, think about them as life facts, things in which cannot be disputed. They are facts. You know what wasn't on my highlight reel? My sophomore year of high school when I ran headfirst into the goalpost. That was not on my highlight reel, right? I wasn't sharing the worst of me, I was sharing the best of me, and on repeat. Fair? When they came to recruit me, did you see that I ran into the goalpost? I never mentioned that. So I need you to focus on your highlight reel. The next piece is your greatest hits. How many of you like live music? You're my people, right? We're out here, right? Figuring it out. I love live music. I have a weird obsession with John Bon Jovi, don't judge me. So I used to go to his concerts. I'd listen to his music, let me know if you're with me, listen to the music of the concert in the car, yeah? You get there early, you're in the parking lot, as we do. We're listening to the music in the parking lot, yes? We walk into the space, buy our overpriced Chickies fries, and wait with bated breath for him to perform. And there's other people in the band too. But for him to perform, right? And what happens is that the music starts, and the songs that I listened to in the car, and the songs that I knew every word to in the parking lot, I need for him to recite word for word. Only for Jonathan to be like, hey guys, this is something that we've been working on in the basement. I just wanted to see what you guys thought. This is not the time, John. I'm not part of your workshop, my friend. I came here to sing every single word. And though I appreciate you including me in your creative process, that's not what this is about. Because what we ask for is his greatest hits. That's what we require. That's what we request. That's what we tune into him for, his greatest hits. Are you sharing your greatest hits with the world? Well, Sheldon, I think people are bored of it. I think everyone knows that already. Absolutely not. I know those songs. I rely on those songs. I call upon those songs when I need them. You constantly need to be reminding people of what it is that you are good at. your greatest hits. Why? Because you never know when someone needs you. And again, Captain Average, right, is constantly reminding us of what he, she, or they are up to. Meanwhile, you're like, you know what, I feel like I'm too much. You deserve to share who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it with the right people. So again, 3 of your highlights and 3 braggable greatest hits. I need you to find your tribe. If no one has told you this already, you are not for everyone. And instead of being mad at me about it, I hope that that frees you. I hope that that keeps you from being tortured by being everything to everyone and satisfying no one. You are not for everyone. There is something beautiful about finding expertise. There's something beautiful about being a fan of something, right? Whether you love Harry Styles or Harry Potter, when we hang out with those particular individuals, we speak a different language, right? When you're a fan of something and you're around like-minded people who are equally a fan of something, my husband and his fantasy football lingo, I'm like, what are they talking about, right? But with all, again, their might, they're talking in the jargon and the language. When you talk with colleagues, when you're around like-minded people, you are hearing, you are heard, and you are seen. The right people hear and see you differently. They understand your language. They are fluent in your ambition. We need to be in the right rooms. Oftentimes, we are doing the right thing in the wrong rooms. And we determine their reaction to our ambition as truth. But meanwhile, you have just been talking to the wrong people. What I need us to do is I need us to find our tribe. I need you to narrow in your community. I need you to do so both online and offline. I need you to focus on the quality versus the quantity, because all of you that are completely intoxicated with getting more likes and follows on your social media, I need you to cut it out, because we do not need 1 million followers to make $1 million. We don't. We don't need everyone on the internet to like or pay attention to us in order for us to change our world. I was working with a series of entrepreneurs, and one of them were saying, you know what, when I build more following on Facebook, then I'll give incentive, then I'll do this, and then I'll do that. I go, but what about the 50 people that are already following you? What about the 25 people that already have opted into what it is that you have to offer? Because in most cases, and particularly within small business, if you were to get 5 new clients in a week, that would change your month. That would change your quarter. Hell, that might change your year. So instead of being, again, distracted by being 1 million things to all these strangers that don't feed and understand you, you need to be focused on the right people. You do not need 1 million followers to make $1 million. You do not need to be screaming into the abyss. You need to take care of those individuals who are taking care of you. One of the things I did during pandemic for our community at This Is It Network is that we stopped outreaching and started taking care. And what I mean by that is that people were paying attention to us. People followed and liked us. Did I ask them how they were doing? I was so consumed with like, we got followers, now more. We got followers, now more. That I wasn't taking care of the individuals who were already taking care of me. And when you do that, my love, more conversations will happen about you in your absence. They will do the work for you. They will tell your stories. They will share that you remembered their birthday and that you paid attention to them every step of the way. There are various tools in which we use in order to tell our story. You can use a few or any of these. Now again, we talked a little bit about social, we talked about the website, which we'll get to. People are still opening their emails. They are. But it's not just the emails. It's all of the things, and I'm not trying to exhaust you, and I'll explain to you what you need to do in order to not be overwhelmed by telling your story. But one of the things that I want to really focus on is the references and referrals. Us as women, or just humans in general, that's how we function. Right? My beautiful friends, table number 1. Well, Shelby, where'd you get your suit? Yes. Right? Zara, absolutely. Top and bottom. That's what we do, right? We ask, where'd you get that? You were at a birthday party for your child, and you're like, where'd you get that cake? Right? That's how we function. Tap into that function. Do people have enough information about you to tell your story in your absence? I need you to really think about it. When I talk to my students, and it's going into holiday break, going into winter break, I don't have a job. Does Uncle Bob even know what you are majoring in? The answer is no, right? What do you want to do after Thompson? Mashed potatoes, right? All the things. Uncle Bob has no idea. Meanwhile, his new girlfriend works for the company that you've been pining over on LinkedIn for the past 6 months. People cannot share what they do not know. People can buy what they are unaware of. Your references and referrals will change your life. What we ended up doing during the pandemic is we dove into membership groups and organizations such as this. We participated in traditional advertising, but we paired it with groups and organizations. I see groups and organizations primarily in various industries and amongst gender as a space where you can meet real people. You invest in real people, in real relationships. And just as a piece of personal advice moving forward, think about that in marketing your business. Refer to your life facts. I'm part of a group called Hey Mama, a group for working mothers. I build business in that space. We have our organization for our Scream Your Dream community. We call them Screamers, if you're interested. We hang out and we trade tricks of the trade in industry scenarios. I see groups and organizations similar to the way you would have a subscription to a magazine. If you are in fashion, you're not like, I just read Vogue. I don't read anything else. You're like, I read Vogue, I read In Style, right? The goal is to be able and amongst like-minded folks so you can get more of those references and referrals. This is really important. For those of you that are a lot of stuff, how many of you are like, I'm a lot? 100%. I'm gladly too much, right? And so one of the things, this is a cameo from my mother, my West African mother, and some of you may do this now, I do as well. When someone is coming to my house, I clean it as if, right? As we can eat off the floor. My mother is 77 years old, and with the strength of 10 men, she lifts a couch just to make sure that there's no dust bunnies, right? We are organizing a closet that no one will go in, right? Why do I have to clean under my bed? Just in case. You never know. Why are these people roaming through my home? I have no idea, right? You clean your house because you are waiting for company. All of you are in this room right now, and you're saying, hello, my name is, this is what I do. Your social media platforms, your website is your house. Have you cleaned your house? Because I'm coming over. Is the website make sense? Does it share who you are, what you want, and why you deserve it? Or am I confused? Right? On the platforms, is it a picture of your cat in a sunset? Right? Am I pining over your social media being like, is that the woman that I met? I don't know. It's Fluffy's birthday, but I don't know whether or not this is the woman that wanted to hire me. This is the woman that I wanted to hire. Are you putting out into the world what you want in return? Do enough people have enough information in order to make a decision about you in your absence? Is your house clean? For those of you that, to beat that analogy to death, a lot of you have a number of different addresses, meaning a number of different names on your social media platforms, right? Honey Bunny 2000, and then the name of your business. You're holding on to it since you're in 8th grade in your Instagram. I need you to let it go. I need us to focus on our government names or the names of our businesses. Why? Because that's how people are looking for you. Right? Think about inviting somebody to a party. Inviting somebody to a party and giving them multiple addresses to get to one house. Does that make sense? Doesn't make sense. And for those of you that want to be in the sphere, but your life is just so private, right? Don't invite me. I do this for all of my students. On the resume, they will put all of their social media platforms. And when they get to the social media platforms, they're all restricted or blocked out because you're so private. Here, I think you deserve to have a private life, but then don't invite me to the party. You've invited me to the party, and then you've turned off the lights and hid behind the door. Maybe she'll go away. But if she really wants, she'll knock harder. Absolutely not. If you are inviting people to a space, make sure that that space is complete. I love the small business owners, their websites all say, coming soon, as if you are a Blockbuster and I'm refreshing every 5 minutes for my tickets. If the page is not complete, just hide it. Don't launch it. Because what it makes you look like is not that you are a work in progress, it makes you look like you are incomplete. There is no reason for you to be coming soon. You have arrived, my friends. And even if that webpage simply just has one page with your face, a bio, and contact information, that is enough, right? That is enough. Make sure that the content that's found on that page is organized. Again, we are hosting a party. The bar is over here, the bathroom's over here. I'll take your coat, there's a keg in the backyard. You know, right? Be a good host. Get organized with your navigation. Be clear on where you want people to go. I don't care how much you are and how many things you've got going on as long as you keep them organized. How many of you like Target? It's my happy place. I love her. Right? And in Target, Target sells everything from baby food to lawnmowers, yeah? You spend way too much money, but do you get lost? No, no one's lost in a Target. If something's in a wrong aisle, some goddess in a maroon shirt comes and moves it away, right? You can buy everything from baby food to lawnmowers because everything is in an aisle. If you are a photographer and a videographer, say so. If you are handling finance and also doing consulting, say so. Give me the aisles of your Target. So it's easy for me to find and navigate my way through what it is that you are offering. You can be anything, and the amount of things, it's just how organized you are with those things. Does that make sense? Because the best part about Target for my children is that exit line that we are in, yeah? They're in the cart, and everything is strategically placed for my son to grab it. Right? I'm like, why do I have so much nonsense and liquid candy in my cart? What is with the liquid candy? I don't have any understanding. Do you know what I mean? What happened to a lollipop? I can't. So in my cart, right? Because you never know what you're going to get on the exit. They came to your website for photography, they're leaving with photography and videography. They came to your website for PR, they're leaving with copywriting because everything is in an aisle. Does that make sense? It's how we share what it is, and am I giving people enough information to have conversations about me in my absence and make those decisions accordingly? Before we go into some question and answer scenarios, some of you might be like, ooh, that was good, but that was a lot. And you're not wrong. It was. But what I want you to think about is how you attack your day in the sticker goals of things, right? Because sticker goals are just as important as your long-term goals, as your tattoo goals. I used to create lists. How many of you still, I see you vigorously writing, create written lists, yeah? And my list used to be 50 items long. My daughter was 11. It was like, find colleges for Sydney. It was like crazy, right? And I would go to bed feeling disappointed because I only got 5 things done on this masterful list that I created first thing in the morning to torture myself. Now I only create a today list, not a to-do list. What am I doing today? Am I updating my website? Am I sending out that MailChimp? Am I finally going to launch my Instagram account? What are the sticker goals that I'm going to attack today? My goal is to ensure that all of you move forward and have more people know about you today than yesterday. My goal is for all of you to find your voice, to elevate what it is that you have going on, to gain organization and not just enthusiasm. Yes, I am loud, but I am strategic in the words that I use. It is not just about being Captain Average. It's about ensuring that you have all of the necessary pieces to back up that ambition. I want you to be specific. I want you to tell your story. I want you to no longer whisper your wishes. I want all of you to scream your dream. Thank you so much. That was fun. You guys are fun. Hi. I know. Do you want that up? Yep. Oops. There I am. That's how you get in touch with me if you need anything. But I would love to answer any questions that you may have. Oh, well, awesome. Yay, that was really great. Any questions that you may have and work you through anything. I love a good workshop and happy to do it. Do you have a question? Is there a microphone or are we just winging it? Yeah, you can try. Hi.
Hi, I'm Brittany. I loved what you had to say. I also have a kindergartner named Chase.
Oh, my people, we'll do a play date.
But going back to your highlight reel.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone like that, like I am in recovery. My past has a lot of like negative
things what would be considered negative in most
For
cases,
sure.
but I've found that that's what connects me with some people, like my partner.
Yeah, for sure.
So when I talk about my time in jail, my time in addiction,
Yeah.
that's not what most people would say. It would be a highlight reel, but I feel like that's part of my personal brand. But
Yeah.
where do you draw the line, or should I not do that going forward?
You keep standing. Stand up. You are your highlight reel, my love. I see you and I hear you. Do you understand? Like, you standing to tell the tale is the highlight that they need to see, right? It's as if you are giving a demo of what is to come. Tell me the nature of your business. Yeah. Ha! This is it. What is?
Hope is the way, love is the answer. So
Hope
you
is the
see
way, love
and
is.
hope when you look at it.
Oh my gosh, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. Everybody has to check it out. You see hope and love on the bag. Is the reason why you, it's a loaded question, but is your story, right? Right, seriously, is your story what led you to do this, or even a portion of it?
So
Then that's your highlight, my friend. People do not buy products or services. They buy personalities and experiences. You are emotionally connected to your toothpaste. You are emotionally connected to those things. They need to know your story because that's beyond a tote bag. Do you understand? But you've got to believe it and see it, and then you've got to share it with me. And so on that website, well, again, when I go to that target, I need to understand it, I need to see it. I need to see this is where I was, this is where I am, and this is the result of all of that. Those are the roots that I was talking about, right? Just pretending that it is just a tote bag is keeping your ambition a secret. And we will not stand for that. Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. That's wonderful. She's amazing. Does anybody have any other questions? Yes, my friend. Yep. That was awesome.
I'm a social media content creator, and I'm at Lilu Denny, Lilu Denny.
Okay.
And I'm just starting at 50. I'm 53, but at 50, I really started to release what people think about me and what I thought they might think about me.
Yes.
Because I am truly an outgoing person, and I love to be around people, and I love to talk to people.
Yeah.
So part of my platforms, I don't talk about my depression. I don't talk about being a diabetic for 43 years.
Right.
Do I bring that in, or do I just leave it out?
Well, let's talk about what your platform is now. What is your platform now? Like, what are you talking about currently?
So right now I talk about inspirational or motivational
You're my people.
comments, and then I talk about how people should be marketing on social media.
Okay.
The hooks, the
Yeah.
value, and then the closing.
For sure.
But I feel like there's a part of me that I want to share with people, but I'm a little bit scared because I'm scared. Do people really want to hear this, or do they want to know about pieces of my life and why?
So I have an opinion, as you know. So social media and influencing is a hot topic in this scenario. So here's one thing. There's a couple things. Number one, it all has to be far more strategic than we think, in my opinion. The train left the station, everybody became an influencer, everybody went viral, and now everybody thinks that they're talented. My issue is that in my opinion, there is no such thing as a TikTok influencer. There is no such thing as an Instagram influencer. There's no such thing as a YouTuber. There is a chef that uses YouTube. There is a comedian that uses TikTok. These are just tools that we use in order to get where it is that we want. If inspiration and advice is what you want to give, if you are focused on your target market, who your tribe is, and you think your target market will benefit from your experience, then we use that information. If they will not benefit from that experience and you are exploiting yourself through a platform, then it is not useful to them or to you, right? So it's far more strategic. So I believe in the personal branding of social media, you utilize what makes sense to you. But if you are uncomfortable, I will feel it. I will feel it, right? A lot of young people do this too. It's like, here's my portfolio, I hate it, but why are you showing me? If you hate it, why are you it's the equivalent to saying, this stinks, smell it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it, oh, smell that, that smells bad. Do you think it's rotten? Like, I don't want to smell it. If it's a 50-50 chance, you win. It's rotten. I don't need to smell it. Whatever is comfortable for you in that space. And allow for yourself to make sure that it's part of the story that you are telling. Allow for it to be a highlight, right? If it makes sense. There's a lot of people that are oversharing for the sake of oversharing, right? And we know what that feels like. We know how uncomfortable that is, right? And so I think that if you incorporate it in the storytelling of things, I was frustrated here because this was happening to me in this moment, I can relate to you, right? But the oversharing for the oversharing, I think the bubble is about to burst in that space. Right?
It takes 30 seconds for them to realize, I don't want to do this.
Right.
And they take it.
And it's because these mediums, unfortunately or fortunately, it's another tangent, but they're not a game. They're just tools. They're just tools in which you use in order to get, it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm the best emailer. I have so many people who follow me on email. Like, so awesome. You know what I mean? Like, I got like 60,000 emails this morning. My life. Absolutely, it's a tool. I'm old enough to understand and remember MySpace, yes? Vine. Mark Zuckerberg is not inviting us to the meeting. I don't know, tomorrow, like 2 years ago, Instagram went down for 5 hours. People were like in the streets, right? They couldn't manage themselves because these businesses put all of their contact information, all of their friends and what they thought were their followers, lived in which platforms in which they did not own, right? So, be very strategic with how you use your voice. That's why the highlights and the greatest hits, those are important, right? And if people have all of you, make sure that they deserve it.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. At least earned it. Yes, my friend.
What would you consider oversharing on a platform like?
And I don't think that there's a metric as much as, does it serve you? I don't care what you say. I say this to my students all the time. I don't care if you are Cardi B and you are dropping it like it's hot on a Tuesday, or you want to be in this, in a more reserved scenario. What you put out into the world needs to match what you want. What you put out into the world needs to match what you want. So if you're being hateful and that matches your objectives, go with it. I don't appreciate it. I won't subscribe to it. But that matches what your goals and objectives are. Do not be discouraged if what you put out into the world does not get you what you want, right? Or get you a bad, we are all adults. The idea that we have all lost self-control is beyond me, right? Like, we don't run through the mall half naked, right? Like, pull it together. Like, and if we do, we know the consequences of that, right? So be mature is all I ask. I don't care what people post, truly. But if you are mature and you recognize, like, what it is that I'm saying will affect what it is that I want. Continue to post, but understand and be mature enough to understand the consequences of it. So if you are sharing your personal story of addiction or of depression, and you are doing that to be of service, right? Then please be of service. If you are doing that that has no intention, that's when I think people get really in a dangerous situation. And then the likes and all the things become addictive, right? And then you start pushing the envelope far more, not for purpose, but for attention. Does that make sense? Yeah. So but let it be part of a strategic plan. I'm going to tell this story because I think people will resonate with the story and they'll see what my business is doing now, and maybe that will give them the opportunity to be like, I'm exactly like them. Let me get it. Let me reach out, right? But if we're just doing it to do it, just to create chaos, then it doesn't serve you, right? And if in a lot of cases it serves you in the wrong direction. Make sense? Yeah. Say whatever you want. Be Cardi B. I don't care. Well, you know what I mean? Take pictures of yourself walking home with no shoes on. I don't care, as long as you know that there is consequences to whatever it is you put out into the world. Yes.
One more.
Okay, sorry, I got excited.
When I was, putting myself into social media,
Yeah.
people said one of the things you need to do is bring value to the
Absolutely.
people who are viewing your
For sure.
media. Now, my question is, how do you determine what is bringing value to them?
For sure.
By their view numbers, or how?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Again, more people must know about you today. It's a good last question. That was good. You are an expert, without faking it, in your category. I need to know that. I think one of the scenarios that I teach is my 3-to-1 rule. And my 3-to-1 rule is the hopes of you provide value before you ask for something. This I teach a lot to real estate agents. Real estate agents, every post is open house, buy the house, buy the house, buy the house, buy the house, right? And what happens when we get a phone call from somebody who only calls us and asks for money? They're going straight to voicemail, right? We all got a cousin, all got a best friend, always needs something, right? Always needs a ride, goes right to voicemail. That's what all of these ask posts are doing. They're getting muted out, right? What I need you to do is find your expertise in it. So what industry are you in?
Real estate.
Oh, perfect. This is awesome. I love this. This was so good. I'll slip you the check later. Right? I got you. Set me up. That was good. No, but here's the deal. I think that what people, this is so good, and this is really important. Be an expert in your industry. Real estate is far more than just selling a house. It's the relationship that you build. It's the neighborhood. If you are proficient in a specific neighborhood, congratulate the Little League team on your page, right? Talk about what's going on. Talk about things that are positive. Congratulate people who have turned 100 in your region. Be more than a reason why people are only calling you, because here's the deal. It's not about me watching it and watching your page. It's who I know that needs you. I don't need a house, but because I follow your content, hey, you need a house? I got the perfect realtor for you. That's the space. So I do a 3-to-1, 3 pieces of value, right? So you educate somebody, make them smarter. You engage, typically do it by asking a question, right? So what's your favorite ice cream? Don't care what it is, right? What's your favorite neighborhood? How many places in real estate? How many places have you lived? How many houses have you lived in? These are cool kind of things to create engagement. And then entertain. Doesn't mean you have to be hilarious. It just means you provide some sense of joy, right? And that could simply be decorating ideas or, what are the trends in landscaping? But it can't be. You are not allowed to ask your community for anything unless you've given them 3 pieces of value. Do not ask them for anything unless you've given them 3 pieces, because why would you follow them otherwise? Why would you be paying attention to somebody who's always asking you to do something? And we've all muted out those particular pieces. So 3-to-1 rule, educate, engage, entertain, and then you can feel free to ask them something, and then do it again. Make sense? Okay. I'm going to be around for a little bit more. I know that some people may have some questions. I do love addressing all of you, and I hope you guys enjoyed the time you spent with me today. So thank you very much. Do I do anything? Oh. Oh. Ooh, is this it? Yeah.
Hi.
How are you?
Okay. Thank you.
Sheldon, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Wow, what a great day. My name is Monica Zimmerman. I am the Executive Director of the Cottrell Center and a professor in the Management Department at Westchester University. As an educator, I love learning, and I learned a lot today. I hope you did too. As you know, women entrepreneurs play a very important role in the U.S. economy, and in 2021, 49% of the businesses were started by women. Here's another thing to clap for. That is up from 2019 when the percentage was 28%.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So events like today are important. Our goal is to foster the growth of women entrepreneurs, and I hope we helped a bit with that today. I have the pleasure of saying the thank yous for the conference today, so I'm really excited about that. First, I'd like to thank our gold sponsor, Citadel, and our presenting.
No, it's the other way around.
Sorry. Our gold sponsor, Curate. Yep. Okay, Curate. Thank you. And our presenting sponsor, Citadel. Thank you to our partners, the Women's Business Connection, the Greater Westchester Chamber of Commerce, and I2N. And thank you to our moderator, Stacy Stauffer. I'd like to thank our keynote speaker, Yasmin Mustafa. She not only shared her amazing story, but also inspired us to be resilient. I'm the former professor at Temple University professor that Yasmin mentioned. I since then moved to Westchester University. It's great to follow Yasmin's success, and you know, it's great when a student teaches the professor. I learned a lot today, so thank you, Yasmin. Thank you to our panelists, Jennifer Rodriguez, Mercedes Diaz, Kate Sheehan, Nagar Yahanbin, and Ruthann Montalino. Montaline. Thank you to Chrissy Houlihan, and thank you to Lisa Wright-Bryant, our Cottrell Center Entrepreneur in Residence, and Sheldon Bartlett Rumor for your fireside chat and so much more. Thank you. This conference is a significant undertaking, and I'd like to thank the planners and the leaders of the conference. Thank you to the Cottrell Center, to Patty Diggin, McKenna Kissinger, and Lily Campbell. And to SCORE of Chester and Delaware counties, Maria Smith, Mercedes Diaz, Denise Lynch, and Sushil Subrahmanian. The Cottrell. I hope you have a great afternoon as you leave here today. You reflect on what you learned today about being resilient, about how to promote your business and to be genuine, and just how to connect with one another. I hope to see you next year at our conference and at future events the Cottrell Center hosts, including the Business Idea Pitch in the spring. Great.
Thank you so much. Okay, just a few housekeeping things. Again, I am just very honored to have been here in a room with all of you. I hope we can leave here today feeling inspired and empowered and really willing to support each other, because it takes a village, and again, it's just, it's the most rewarding thing, but it's also probably the hardest work you'll ever do, maybe outside of being a parent, is building your own company and thriving. So thank you again. Just quickly, I want to thank Danny Apex Productions, that Freckled Strawberry video they put together. They also did all the audio and visuals for today. Also, thank you to Citadel. Please grab the amazing swag that they have over here. There's plenty of good stuff. Again, those purse hooks are amazing. Also, they set up a photo booth in the back there against the wall, so you can do some pictures and selfies, so you can post it on the gram or wherever you like to post. I don't know if there's any TikTokers in here. I dip my toe into that world, and it's exciting but scary. But anyway, wherever you want to post, do that. And of course, we hope to see you for the fabulous luncheon that is over here in the atrium. So thank you again. Warning though, the chips, caution, they are addicting. Thank you so much, everybody.
Danny Apex Productions.